streaming rather.
Rottweiler.
Right over there the way we's streaming. I saw this. I think I saved it. It was so funny. These it's like the boomer posts on Facebook.
Yeah.
I might show that. I might open up with that.
I have something fun at some point that I might bring up too, just for,
Please make a note and then interrupt me at some point if you have to.
I won't, it's fine.
So let's see, it's 9:02. Let's see. We got 1 minute. It is to me, it's a fascinating conversation. And I am going to be, I don't know. I need to focus a lot more on prepping. I don't know. I mean, I know that we cover a lot of topics on the show, but I also see the value in just focusing in on like just a handful of topics rather than all of the things. But that's one of the things I love about talk radio. It's an always growing, always never ending conversation about stuff. We have 20 seconds.
You don't say.
Yeah. All right, let me get the show music ready here. We got 10 seconds. Welcome to the Breakdown, everybody. This is Aaron Barker, broadcasting from an undisclosed location deep behind enemy lines, asking the questions that get you kicked out of Bible study and sent to therapy. Thank you all so very much for the opportunity to be in your vehicle, office, residence, warehouse, farmhouse, henhouse, outhouse, or doghouse, wherever it is you may be listening today. Big show today, I think. We got a lot of stuff we want to cover and talk about. It's a big old fat failure for freedom this week, I think. A lot of stuff happening since Trump has been inaugurated and things daily occurring. The news cycle is not ever going to slow down. It's always going to be going. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about there. Bad theology coming up a little bit later. I'll give you a big old hint on what that's going to be about, which it's about the LGBT pastor that confronted Donald Trump at the inaugural prayer service or post-inaugural prayer service. That's not a hint. That's just telling you exactly what it is going to be talking about. That's not a teaser. That's just like, bam, this is what it is. So we've got that coming up, and then other topics to cover with us, as always. Misinformation herself, the lovely Erica Sauer. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, and so I don't know what's going on. Curtis over there he caught a little bit of our pre-show discussion, Erica, and he said, "Hey, talk about this topic, squirrel." And then he said, "What happened?" I don't know what happened. What he means by what happened over there. But yeah, I was thinking before I came on the show, I'm not. See, I got to do this. Hold on just a second before I get too far ahead of myself. Remind me, ADHD, Erica. I'm going to throw that out there. But anyway, you can go to aaronbarker.substack.com. There is a new section that's beginning on the Substack, which is coming up on Monday. I'll tell you a little bit about that. But go to aaronbarker.substack.com. You can keep up with the show there. We drop the show and some new articles that are going to be dropping. You can also go over to Twitter and follow me, and you can follow Erica over there. Erica, what's your handle on Twitter or X?
It is at NoleFan01, NOLEFAN, like Seminoles. Like
there you
Florida
go.
State.
The offensive Native American name.
Right?
The appropriation of the Native American tribe down there used for the white man's purposes.
We pay for that.
Oh my gosh, there's a lot of great stuff happening, and I'm trying to figure out how to get all this in my head. Curtis mentioned this. I think I don't know though, but I think I might have ADHD. The hyperactive part might be a little out for question there, but there's so much stuff happening, and I think about all the stuff I want to talk about, and then my mind goes crazy, and I feel like an absolute failure, and then I can't get anything done. But there are so many things happening right now that you've just got to focus on one topic, and there's so it's just like it's like an overstimulation, an information overload. You know what I mean? Like you open X, and I just opened it up here. Dane Wigington is posting about the Shasta County Board of Supervisors voting to place the climate engineering issue and proposed ban of it on their 2025 agenda, which reminded me that in Kentucky they are proposing a bill to be passed which will give the right for municipalities to remove fluoride from the drinking water. Never in my life did I think that would be on the agenda in Kentucky. But if you don't know, fluoride in the drinking water is something that the government pays local municipalities to do. So it pays them to put fluoride in the drinking water. So and then there's a law that exists in Kentucky which says that that each district has to put fluoride in their water. So if you were to go to your local water district and ask them to remove the fluoride from your water, they would be legally unable to do so. So they have to introduce legislation which makes it legal and for a municipality to remove fluoride from the drinking water, which then makes it okay for activists to go to their local water districts and lobby for them to remove fluoride from their water. That is insane to me.
Well, I think what you're seeing, I mean, not that there hasn't always been a million things to pay attention to, but I think a lot of what you're seeing is that people are starting to get more involved locally, like in their
Yeah.
county, in their city, in their state. They just are. So you're seeing more of these things like we're having to protest to be able to have fluoride removed from our drinking water. I think you're going to start seeing people I think there's gonna be a massive push, is kind of a side note, but when it comes to our food and our water and what's in it, I think there's gonna be a big push in the next 4 years for that to change. I think you're gonna start hearing a lot about that.
And I am so I never thought that this would be possible. And I say that because the argument, the discussion about it has has almost been like talking to a brick wall. I have for years, we don't drink tap water. We buy either bottled water, and up until the fire, we had a under sink mounted reverse osmosis water filtration system.
Right, that's
And
what I have. Does anyone drink tap water anymore? I didn't think that was a thing. Sorry.
I agree. I agree. I mean, I am actually I'm actually in that same boat. Like people when they go and drink out of a water fountain or they go fill up their water from their sink, I'm like, "Do you know what's in that?"
Mm. Yeah, I don't okay, so in Indiana, the water is very, very hard and people don't drink it. You have to have a water softener, definitely underwater osmosis if you're gonna do it. Even if you're gonna wash your clothes, you need that.
Yeah.
In Florida, there's a lot of sulfur and people don't drink it depending where you are. I mean, the water smells like rotten eggs sometimes, so people don't really drink that water either. I guess maybe I'm just not in a place. Is there a place where they have really clean water? Maybe in Colorado they drink the water. I don't know.
I lived on a faux I worked at a faux Christian ministry, and I say that because it was a ministry. It was a place that claimed to be a ministry, but the owner was as bigoted as you can imagine, and as close to being a narcissist as possible. And he was just an absolute nightmare to work for. One of the worst, most horrible individuals. I very, very few times do I know somebody that when if I make it to heaven, when I get to heaven, if I look over and see that guy, I'm gonna be like, that dude, like that guy, if he's here, I'm good. Like when it gets to me on judgment, I'll be like, hey, I'm good if that guy's gone.
You'd
But
be like, "Am I in the right place?"
yeah, it's like, wait a second, hold it. Yeah, if I see him next, I'm like, holy crap, no, no,
Oh,
no, no,
no.
no, 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 please, no. It's either going to be like, oh my gosh, the Lord is so gracious, or it's going to be like, holy crap, I'm doomed. I'm toast. But
Oh my god.
anyway, so it was a well water system there. And typically well water is, essentially, much better than municipal water. Of course, you have to filter and all that stuff. But
Right.
because it was a private organization, but because guests stayed on property and they needed, water to meet certain standards, we had to control it. We had to put chlorine in the water, essentially, yeah, it was chlorine to make it healthy, to kill all the organisms. There was water softener that was added to it as well. And to be honest with you, like, if it was not regulated properly, when you washed your hands, there was so much softener in the water that it felt like you could never get your hands rinsed
You
off.
couldn't
Like,
get him like, there was still soap on him? You get
yeah,
used to it.
yeah. And then the water also, there were times, because we had to send water samples every week. So on Mondays, you had to do random sampling, and you had to send these samples off to the water district, and they would sample them. And if it fell below a certain threshold, then you would be told to shut your water down, and it was an inspection. All this stuff happened, so they would spike the water with chlorine, and then if the well got too low. Then the chlorine would just, like, it would be like you just open, when you turn on the faucet, it would be like opening a bottle of chlorine and smelling it. It
Right.
was so potent, so you couldn't drink the water because it was killing your guts. There was so much softener in it. Now, the ladies who lived on property loved the water, how soft the water was, because their hair felt great. But
Yeah, it's
like,
good for your hair, and it's good for
yeah,
your clothes, and it's good for your skin, and you get used to it. But, I mean, I don't even okay. People think it's bougie, but it's not because it's bougie. I don't if they offer me a glass of water when I'm in a restaurant, I ask them if it's bottled water. If they're like, "No," I'm like, "No, I don't want that." And people are like, "Oh, she doesn't want the water." But no, I don't. I'm sorry, I'll pass.
she's too good for this water. Yes, I am too good to myself to drink that swill. Um, but I never thought, honestly, I never thought that it would be that it would be a topic where, if you actually talked about it, that people would not look at you and roll their eyes. Now they still do. RFK, is his confirmation hearing has been set, by the way, and I believe it is. Let me see when it is. January 29th. His hearings will start on January 29th, for the confirmation hearings that you're going to have. And now they're going to grill the guy, which is great, and they're probably not going to focus on his infidelity or his personal life, which, that I readily admit I'm a hypocrite when it comes to that regarding him. But they're going to drill him over his policy, or his thoughts on vaccines, his work against that, and they're going to talk to him about his health measures and food and all that stuff. I know they're going to do that, but I
All they're
never
gonna
thought.
do is make him more popular.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I never thought that it would come to the time when a person who was, he's not anti-vax, but he is somebody who's vaccine hesitant, where somebody would actually be considered for the Department of Health and Human Services, that had those policies on fluoride in the water, geoengineering, vaccines. I mean, this is incredible, and it just
It's
makes
in
my little conspiracy heart soar.
okay, so do you not though I'm not saying that I pay attention to world or geopolitics because I don't so much. I do if it matters to me, but not as a whole. However, we're late to this game, right? So I don't I'm incredulous about it, but it's not because I can't believe it's happening. It's because I can't believe we're the last ones. Truly.
What do you mean by
I
that?
mean, the rest of the world already eats different. They don't have this stuff in their food. They're healthier than we are. They don't have the best healthcare systems, right? They don't have the best doctors. They don't have the best that surgeons, whatever we do. But what we do to ourselves, they don't do that. They don't gain the weight that we gain from eating. They don't suffer from the same ailments. They don't have, lactose intolerance. They don't suffer from gluten allergies. They don't have peanut allergies. They don't. I'm just telling you. And
Yeah.
we're late to the game, and I'm the my incredulity is like, "Oh my god, how did I miss this?"
Yes, I totally understand what you're saying there. Now that you goodness gracious. I totally get what you're saying there, and I will say this: it is based on the elevation of money over the health of the individual. And I'll elaborate more on that in just a minute. You're listening to the breakdown right here. We're broadcasting on the Crusade channel, live radio the way it should be. If you go to crusadechannel.com, you can listen to Mike Church's show and all the other great programs he offers over there. Don't forget, by the way, to go to YouTube and subscribe to his show, which comes on every morning at 7 a.m. Eastern time, and it is on YouTube. They're expanding the network over there, of course, this year, which is fantastic. You can check out that show, and then you can also listen to the breakdown on Saturdays and follow all the podcasts and listen to those as well. Support them at their shop. Let them know that you heard about them from me. I don't get any kickbacks from them, but I think their products are fantastic. Books, information, all that stuff is great. Check out The Spirit of 76, which I remember watching that movie when it came out. My father-in-law bought it for me, or he told me about Mike Church back when he was on the old station in the old country, which was Sirius XM, probably 2007, 2008. And I would listen to Mike Church. I would go to the local Starbucks. I would have my iPod Touch. I would sign into the Wi-Fi, and I would sit at Starbucks, and I would listen to Mike Church's show on Sirius XM before I had to go into work. And I remember I bought a book by Tom Woods because I heard him interviewed on that show back in the day. Just fantastic. Anyway, check that out. The Spirit of 76, fantastic movie. I lost it in the fire. I lost all my Mike Church stuff in the fire, and it breaks my heart. But like that movie, I introduced that movie to my kids. I watched that while Allison was baking a cake for one of Bree's birthday parties, and just tremendous stuff. So check that out. And while we're talking about this, we're discussing the implications of legislation being introduced in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. RFK Jr. being put up for the Health and Human Services. He's going to begin his hearings on January 29th. We're talking about fluoride in the drinking water. We're talking about geoengineering, which includes the conspiracy moniker of chemtrails. We're talking about stratospheric aerosol injections, and all of these are coming to the forefront, which is incredible to me to see that we're actually having that as a conversation now. All of the things that used to be uh, uh, not pigeonholed, but all of the things that used to make people think we were crazy and stupid. Talking about OKC being an inside job, the first World Trade Center bombing being cooked up by the FBI, the 9/11 being an inside job perpetrated upon the American citizens by criminal elements within the government. We're talking about school shootings and mass shootings being part of a grander conspiracy to take away guns. We're talking about Fast and Furious and its implications against
Wait,
the
hol
gun
hold on.
lobby.
You don't think school shootings are, a purposefully done thing to promote the repeal of the Second Amendment? I do.
Uh, yeah. Well, put a pin in that question because I want to get back to that.
Okay.
I do want to address that. But all of these things, we're having these conversations right now. We're on YouTube, broadcasting on YouTube right now. We're also on Rumble. And Rumble is one of those places where censorship is being destroyed completely. And this sponsorship from Rumble actually is probably one of the most incredibly important survival tactics for the company and for freedom of speech. Because when Rumble first started in 2013, they built the entire platform for the small creators like me, and they didn't censor or have any biases. They were fair, treated all the creators equally. No one thought platforms would censor political conversation or censor opinions on COVID, but they did. Facebook admitted that they felt a pressure from the Biden and Harris administration. Rumble did not do that. They held the line for the freedom of speech. They are attacked daily for giving us a voice to talk to you, and they are attacked in corporate media. They're attacked by governments like France. They are attacked from brand advertisers who refuse to work with them. Corporate America is fighting to remove speech. Rumble is fighting to keep it. Rumble won't survive with brand advertisers, and they don't get much of that, by the way. Watching us, the breakdown here on Rumble, is the most that we can ask and that they can ask from you. But if you really believe in this fight, if you have the means to do this, one major way that you can help Rumble survive is by joining Rumble Premium. If you join the community that believes in the First Amendment and believes in our human right to free speech, Rumble is offering $10 off with the promo code STUDIO when you purchase an annual subscription. So go to rumble.com/premium and use the promo code STUDIO. And as mentioned, if you have the means and believe in the cause, now is the time to join Rumble Premium. And if you don't have the means, just watch us on Rumble and find a way to support them, find a way to support us. So we really appreciate that. There's actually a QR code on the screen if you're able to get that. You don't see our beautiful faces, but you see this code here. Go click on that use that, pull up your camera. If you're a boomer, you know how to get a QR code, and then go there and get the $10 off to your annual subscription to Rumble. Just go to rumble.com/premium/studio to get $10 off your annual subscription there. And that'll help the show here, and it'll help Rumble as well. Now, back to what you had asked, Erica. Yeah, I do believe that school shootings are mass generated. And I think that mass shootings overall, I don't think they occur naturally or organically on the level that they say they do. You have copycats, you have small bursts of mass shootings that occur, but overall mass shootings, and specifically school shootings, are manufactured events by the deep state and by elements within the satanic New World Order that will work together to remove our rights. You look at something like OKC. What happened after the OKC bombing? That was the crime bill that was signed by Bill Clinton, which was in a way, not overtly, but in a way, caused more damage towards the black community than other crime bills. And that was signed after OKC. You look at, well, I mean, the Patriot Act was signed after 9/11. That wasn't a mass shooting. But yes, I do believe the mass shootings are mainly manufactured means to take away our rights and to take away our Second Amendment. And from what you said, I believe you agree with me.
Yeah. I mean, I'll go further. I'm gonna age myself, but I believe there is a 21 Jump Street program that happens in every high school in America.
Expand on that.
I believe that there are appropriately aged operatives placed in every high school, and I think that they have a new crop of them every so many years to help identify vulnerable, manipulatable individuals for nefarious purposes.
Okay, so I did not watch 21 Jump Street.
It
So
was, FBI agents or CIA agents or, like, undercover agents that posed as high school students and went to high school, and they would, like, bust drug rings in high schools and, criminal activity or whatever, but I'm saying I believe that there is that type of activity that goes on to help identify people that can be used for the purposes of mass chaos.
Oh, okay. No, forgive me if I apologize for my ignorance. That is a great that okay. So we know what predictive programming is, where you watch television shows and it releases information to the public and through entertainment means that prepares us mentally for these types of government programs and these
Right.
types of events. You watch what happened before 9/11 and you see the predictive program or and the revelation of the method, which is a completely different occultic practice where those who are involved in the New World Order, the deep state, the Illuminati, all of those are plans that are revealed to us. That way, when they happen, they get a spiritual empowerment from the fact that they told you they were going to do something. They carried out that they were going to do something and they were successful at it. And then it compounds the spiritual strength that they get from the fact that they told you and you could do nothing about it. So that is an absolute 100% agreement on my part that they are looking for vulnerable individuals and vulnerable people. Uh,
Right.
I don't know what the connection would be, and I wonder if there's a connection between the gentleman, man, why is the name escaping me right now, whose parents were convicted because they didn't do anything about their son. What's his name? Oh, it's gonna pop in my head here in just a minute. We talked about this on the show where the parents had bought the kid a gun.
Yeah, they bought him the gun and they were held responsible for it. And you and I argued about that because I was like, "No way, absolutely not. They can't be held responsible." But there's a certain amount of knowledge that they had, right? Here's the problem with it that they haven't figured out yet. They can't control the crazy, right? They
Yeah.
can cause it and they can manipulate it, but they haven't figured out how to control it, and a lot of times it doesn't play out well for them.
So and that is the thing because you can manufacture, you can look for individuals who are susceptible to heavy doses of manipulation, and you can find those people.
Right.
They do this, and I honestly think that the title of this week's show, "A Big Fat Failure for Freedom." There's a lot of things happening right now this week that Trump is doing and his administration is doing, which is preparing the country for mass problems. We're going to talk about that when we get back. We're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. Please don't forget as well to share the show with everybody that you know. Take the link from Rumble, share it on Facebook, tell everybody about it, and let them know that we're talking about these topics today. And we'll see you on the other side of the break.
Asking the questions that get you kicked out of Bible studies and sent to therapy.
You're listening to The Breakdown.
Oh my gosh, my mind is going to explode. That's so fantastic, Eric. That point that you brought up there. Definitely going to talk more about that coming up.
Okay.
Let's see. Hey, is that Brian there in the chat?
I'm not in the chat right now because I was told to share. So,
Oh yeah. We just have 3 minutes to go. B-Man 6481 said, "Good morning, good morning, Brian. How are you this morning, brother?" I talked to Brian a little bit yesterday. Oh my goodness, gosh, my mind is going 1,000 miles an hour. It does not help when I take brain pills and drink a Monster and then drink coffee. I have like 3 drinks. I have my hydration, I have my energy, and then I have my flavor. Like I always have like 3 drinks on my desk, but right now I've got flavor and energy combined in a Monster, 0 sugar, and then I've got my coffee, which is supposed to be energy, and then I've got my water for hydration because I got to stay hydrated. And I took it all at once. I'm drinking it all at once, and I feel like my head is going to explode right now.
you sound like a chick.
Stop it! It's not what you say
I've
sometimes, Erica.
gotta
It's what
stay
you say.
hydrated.
It's not funny, Erica. You're
I'm
not
sorry.
Oh man.
Oh, dear.
Oh man. Oh man. Oh man. Oh man. Oh man. Let me
What
think
happened
here.
to our hold music? Even the United States Postal Service gives you a choice of what kind of music you wanna listen to when you're on hold.
Here's your hold music. I'll be right back.
He'll be right back until he's not right back, right? I mean, I'll keep talking about the crazy people if he wants to, for sure. I don't understand why people don't see it. Like, you can easily identify troubled individuals in the workplace, in a school, in a hospital, anywhere that you work in a large group like that. People that are vulnerable to being manipulated or having issues are easily identifiable. And I think once they get their hooks in them, I actually don't think that they can control it. I don't think that they figured that part out yet.
I can't wait to talk about that when we get back from the break.
We're back from the break. The music already played.
Are you serious? Oh man, thank you, Eric. You're awesome. Gosh, you're awesome. Look at this. The quintessential professional co-host. This is fantastic. Thank you so much. So that have you ever seen the movie Higher Learning?
Yes.
Okay. I remember watching that show, watching that movie, and I thought, gosh, I that is one of my favorite movies. That and American History X. If you've never seen American History X, that's another one just incredible. But Higher Learning came out in the mid 90s. It had Michael Rappaport was in it, Ice Cube was in it. There's several people, but basically, it's about these. Omar Epps was in it too. So basically, these guys are it's on a college campus, and it documents the two separate people. One is a black guy, Omar Epps. The other guy is Michael Rappaport. And Michael Rappaport is kind of bullied. He's kind of treated like crap, and he's kind of an outcast. He's not fitting in properly. Well, one night he is out sitting on these steps and of this university, and he's reading a book, and this guy approaches him. And it is come to find out it is a guy who is part of the KKK. And he uses the issues and the problems that Michael Rappaport is going through, the rejection from his community, the fact that he's not accepted in his classes, all of the issues and emotional turmoil and trauma he's going through. And then the KKK guy blames all of that on the blacks. It's all their fault. They're the ones who did this. So he redirects the problems over to this people group, which then makes Michael Rappaport's character begin to be indoctrinated to believe that all of the problems are somebody else's fault, other people group's fault. And then he becomes, like one of these KKK racist guys, right? And
Right.
that is the way that what you're talking about works. But the element, like you're saying, that they cannot control is they implement it. They plant the idea that it's the Jews' fault. It is, and they plant the idea that it's the black folks' fault, and they plant the idea that it's the immigrants' fault and the Mexicans, etc. And then that person, the level to which that person's crazy rises up against those people groups is the element that the instigators can't control, but it is the element that they try to exacerbate the most. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. I mean, and maybe I should say they can't control it yet. I think they are actively trying to figure out how to do that, whether it's chip implantation, whether it's complete control, like a hypnotic type of I don't know. Um, they just haven't figured it out yet. But it doesn't stop them from implementing the plan. They just can't control it.
No. And I'm actually so yes. And they find those vulnerable people. They exploit their vulnerabilities. And then you look at the World Trade Center bombing in 1993. That's what the FBI did. And then they cooked up the bombs. They gave the guy the motive. They blamed the guy for it. And then when he wanted to pull out, they said, "No, you're going to carry this out. You're going to do this regardless." And he recorded all the conversations. This is readily available information that people can find, and which I would love to talk more about at some point. But all of that is utilized.
Look, I'm not even saying that this is all negative, right? Like we should not assume that they implement these types of programs only in negative ways. If it works, right? So it would work in a positive way too, AKA the military. It's the same type of influence. It just is a different directive.
Right. Exactly.
It can
Um,
be positive or negative, but you know.
and the so back when TV first started, the flicker rates on the television when you watched the broadcasts were manipulated in such a way to cause a type of hypnosis for people that were watching it for extended hours and extended period throughout the day. When you look back, especially in the 1980s, I remember this, there are two books that I remember, and I have them now, and or one of them, the other one's on order. I lost these in the fire as well, but it's so weird because I think about this stuff, and I'm like, oh crap, I lost it in the fire. But my dad, back in the late 1980s, feared that my brother was getting involved into Satanism, and he started teaching on Wednesday nights at church from two books. One is by a woman named Johanna Michelson, and it's called "Like Lambs to the Slaughter: Your Child and the Occult." The other book was called "When the Devil Dares Your Kids," and it was, I think it was Rob and Gretchen Passatino is their name, that wrote that book. And what these books did is, Like Lambs to the Slaughter details how the New Age movement crept into entertainment and especially the school systems, and how they were using the occult masked as mindfulness, masked as visualization, and those tactics are being taught in schools, and they were indoctrinating our children so that pulls them away from Christianity and implants into them ideas of humanism so that they become more malleable and easier to manipulate. And they document this. Also, Tex Mars has 3 books. It's a 3-book series about this as well, and all of those talking about the mystery of the New Age movement, and how it was infecting television, including children's cartoons, everything from like He-Man and Smurfs and Care Bears, and all of those cartoons that were targeted specifically for kids. And it started to change the way that kids and people think. So they were watching television and they were being indoctrinated, and they didn't even know that they were being indoctrinated with good magic and white magic and black magic and all of those different aspects of humanism. Okay. And then, so they manipulated like that and controlled and began to use that as a mass mind control. The MK Ultra was something that they did to specifically try to, with drugs and chemicals, alter the minds of people and control them. This was a way where they took television, something that people absolutely loved, and used that as a way to indoctrinate folks. And now all of this has exploded to where it's your mindfulness and the enneagrams and all of these humanist ideas are being infiltrating the church, infiltrating our thoughts and our minds. And it is the same type of like what you're talking about, Erica, where they have implants in schools where they go and they find vulnerable people. Now they're creating and have been creating vulnerable people at
Right.
home while they're watching television or enjoying their Saturday morning cartoons and eating their cereal.
Yeah, and I think if you're someone who just is in full denial that there are things like this that are going on, then you're part of one. You're right? You're blue pill, I guess, I would say.
Yeah, that's a good thought. So I mean, so that would be something that, yeah, I would love to talk more about that. There are several other topics that we have to get into today that cover this week, because it is an Orwellian society. There were a lot of things that happened this week that were a failure for freedom, and some great things that happened. So I want to address this first, because the fact that Donald Trump really did this on his first day in office was absolutely incredible. And that was when he signed the executive order that was freeing all of the prisoners for January 6th. That is absolutely incredible. I could not believe that we were really watching him sign
Right.
the executive order for the J6 hostages. And he used the word hostages. He
Yep.
actually said they are hostages. And I was like, this is incredible. This is fantastic that he's doing this. So, I am, if that's the only thing that he does, that is good in his entire presidency for the next 4 years, that to me was worth him being sworn in, not putting his hand on the Bible, but being sworn in to the office of president of the United States to free these hostages. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah. There's a couple things that I thought, yeah, I mean, I don't wanna jump because I don't know what all of the things for freedom that you are picking to discuss, but yes, That was amazing. Um, I've seen interviews with them, and it just is it feels like an out of body experience to hear what they went through and that it happened in this country.
I and there are some people that are still that they're blocking from being released, but I honestly am. I know I'm hoping that they get those folks released. But to me, the fact that there were political prisoners being held, and the fact that the left knows about it, they watched it happen and they allowed it to happen,
They
and there were some
caused it.
conservatives out there that allowed it to happen. Yeah, 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 exactly.
They caused it to happen, then they followed through with their plan, and then they destroyed these people in as a form of intimidation against the rest of us.
Exactly. Man, and that they're using that to silence dissent. That
Right.
was the whole purpose, the whole reason. This is another one of those things that they did.
This is
They
also another failure because they couldn't control the crazy. They couldn't control the fact that we were gonna get out there in droves and not be okay with it and turn around and reelect the guy they hated the most, and they didn't get to finish once again. They didn't get to finish the plan, just like when Hillary didn't get elected. They didn't get to finish. If any one of these individuals had won instead of Donald Trump, we would be living in a different country right now. I'm not saying Donald Trump is the savior. I'm not saying he's perfect. I'm not saying that he's all about the principles and ideals that we should value in our leader. But what I'm saying is, without him right now, that specific, whatever you want to call him, without that specific personality, that drive, that plan, that how he operates, without that, you don't live in the same country that you are living in right now.
yeah, to a certain extent, I do agree with that. To a certain extent, I do agree with that.
And they
There
couldn't
were
control us, right? They thought we were gonna all be afraid of the fact that they put 1,500 people in jail and destroyed their lives. They thought we were all gonna shut up and go away, and it didn't happen like that.
no, no, it didn't. People were speaking out against that. They were refusing to accept the moniker of insurrectionist, and they were refusing to accept the attacks against us as if we were crazy or conspiracy theorists. It is not crazy. It is not a conspiracy. And the one person who actually committed murder that day received a promotion. Now, what I would love to see is Trump assign the Department of Justice to go after Ray Epps and Michael Byrd, because those two guys, Ray Epps was an instigator of all of these of this entire thing. He was a plant, and then you have Michael Byrd, who was the guy who pulled the trigger and killed Ashley Babbitt. And I would
Yep.
love to see him name some kind of law or executive order, the Ashley Babbitt Act or something like that, and then go after Michael Byrd and say that you're not going to get away with this. You're not going to be somebody who gets carte blanche immunity for shooting a citizen that was doing absolutely nothing.
I think that we're gonna be able to rely on the 1,500 prisoners that are getting out to make sure that that happens. Don't think that they aren't gonna come together with the help of many freedom-loving individuals and go after this government with full force, and I think they're gonna have a lot of support. And I think that there are people that because then you're not gonna be able to ignore it, and they're gonna be forced to punish certain people. I think that's how maybe it's gonna go down.
Yes, and I'm super excited about that. I would like to try to follow the folks who are not being released and the development of that story as it continues, because that's a continued injustice where the president signs an executive order to have people released from prison that are being wrongly held and wrongly I mean against their this violates the Constitution. You have I do not agree with what's going on with immigration policy and ICE and some of the things that they've done this week. But you will have liberals go absolutely bonkers over the fact that that ICE is essentially going door to door arresting anybody that's not a citizen of the United States. They will freak out about that because of illegal immigrants that are in the country. But they will not freak out over the fact that there are citizens in the United States who are being held against their constitutional right. They're being held against their freedoms in this country. They are not standing up for them. So
Oh, wait
here,
a second.
yeah.
I don't wanna are you you're sitting I can't see you, so I just wanna make sure you're sitting down, right? But, Gifted Guru in the chat says they pardoned Bird.
There's no evidence that they pardoned Bird. And because I saw that and I just looked it up,
Okay.
and it says here now this is factcheck.org, and that would be unbelievable. But it says here that in his last hours as president, he issued preemptive pardons for House committee members who investigated January 6, 2021, which, oh my gosh. They said that the House committee members who investigated the January 6, 2021 attack on the Capitol Hill and the police officers who had testified before that committee online posts make an unfounded claim that Biden pardoned the officer who shot and killed protester Ashley Babbitt. The officer who was cleared of wrongdoing wasn't among those who testified.
Oh.
Now, it would be great. Now, look, if you could produce that proof, Gifted, because it would not surprise me that this was done in secret, and it wouldn't surprise me that they would try to hide the fact that he did that. But all evidence points to that not being legit. And I hate to put you on blast like that, Gifted. I'm not.
No, I didn't want you to go on talking about it if that was true, so I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanna bring it up.
No, please fact check me in real time. You know. So, but let's do this. Let me try to rein myself in here. Rein myself in and go to
Why?
some of the topics.
Okay.
because just trying to get to some stories that I wanted to cover here, um, because I'm this is one of the things I talk about here. Now we as I'm a libertarian conservative, a conservative libertarian. That's the way I would label myself if I had to. And the only reason I would add the conservative part on there is because I believe that we should have a constitutional amendment banning abortion, which we're not going to get under Trump, right? It's unfortunate. We're not going to get that, but I believe we should have a constitutional amendment that says you can't murder babies. You call me crazy for that, but here is a statement from Mayor Baraka on the ICE raid in Newark. Okay. So this was on January 23rd. Today, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, agents raided a local establishment of the city of Newark, detaining undocumented residents as well as citizens without producing a warrant. One of the detainees is a U.S. military veteran who suffered the indignity of having the legitimacy of his military documentation questioned. This egregious act is in plain violation of the Fourth Amendment of the United States Constitution, which guarantees the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures. It says Newark will not stand by idly while people are being unlawfully terrorized. I will be holding a press conference in the alliance with partners ready and willing to defend and protect civil human rights. Details to come. Now, if we are going to say that the January 6th prisoners are being held against their constitutional rights, they're being held against their human rights, and it's an injustice, we have to say the exact same thing about this. If we have ICE that is detaining without a warrant against the Fourth Amendment rights of citizens, Americans, and requiring them to produce their papers, how is this any different than Nazi Germany? How is it any different than the not being protected from unreasonable searches and seizures from an institution or from an agency that's been created in the government to try to root out illegal immigrants? This to me is infuriating. I believe that, and you can disagree with me on this, Erica. Of course, I don't know if you do or not, but you're welcome to log your complaints there. I want the conversation. But what is the difference in firmly saying that the J6 hostages are political prisoners, but saying that somebody, and I'm not saying you are, but not standing up for this individual or individuals who will no doubt be held against their constitutional rights because ICE thinks that they're not a citizen.
Okay. Is that the full story? The guy was held or was just asked for identification?
It says here that this is the news release from Newark. You got to weed through some of this crap, and I appreciate you doing that. This is just the release that I was able to get on this situation in this story. Not a lot of stuff is being produced on it.
Okay. All right. So it's suspect. You should still have a warrant, right? You should have a warrant. I don't think you should be able to get around that. You should not be detaining American citizens. However, if you have an establishment that's full of a bunch of illegals and then you are now harboring, aiding, and abetting criminal behavior, and I have the right to detain you. If for no other reason questioning, and I certainly have the right to ask you to prove who you are at that point.
How I see?
They're illegals. You are harboring, aiding, and abetting criminal behavior knowingly. I now have the right to detain and question you and ask for your ID.
Yeah, that's and I believe that is beyond the pale of what the constitutional that's the exact reason that because now anybody can say, well, we have a tip. We have a tip. That tip is then supposed to be that they would still need a warrant for that. They
Yeah,
wouldn't
I
just be
did.
able to walk
No,
up and
I
be like,
did. I said they have to have a warrant. I said they have to have a warrant.
it says here that the additional story here is ICE raids detainments carried out at businesses in Newark without warrant. I hate these commercials. You know that gosh, these websites are insane with commercials and ads and video pop-ups and automatic playing and all that stuff. I hate it. Hate it. I hate
The
when I go to
problem.
a website and it just starts playing ads.
Okay, so the problem I have is without the warrant, right? But I don't have a problem with it there. If you have a warrant, you went to a judge, you have sufficient evidence of a crime, and the person who is harboring illegals, that's a crime. Why is that not a crime? It's a crime. I have the right. Just like if I show up at your home because I have I've busted someone who it was smoking pot and they said they got it from you and I'm going to show up at your I now have a warrant. I'm showing up. How is it you can't just do that.
Well, it's you can't. Well, the issue here is not doing it with a warrant. The issue is doing it without a warrant.
Then
Um,
yes, we all have a problem with that,
yeah,
obviously.
exactly. And here's my fear is that this will not be addressed that way. And I would love to hear the initial reactions from folks like this. I would love to hear the initial reactions of what somebody who is positively behind this deportation, this rounding up of immigrants, the detainment of them of illegal immigrants, and then the deportation of them. I would love for somebody to speak about their support for something like this
Wait,
or
I
give their
support
example.
it.
Yeah, but it sounds like you and I agree.
I mean, I want the warrant, but we're not asking people if they support the deportation of illegal citizen or illegal aliens, right? Because I fully support that.
I'm trying to be clear on my question here. Maybe I'm not being clear. So
Like when you're saying the rounding up of illegals and yep, I'm for that. Not without a warrant, busting into people's businesses, citizens without a warrant. No. But am I for rounding everybody up and ta-ta bye-bye? Yep.
So it says here, Newark, New Jersey. This was on Eyewitness News ABC 7. So this is ABC7NY.com. Reports of ICE detaining migrants have rattled cities like Newark, New Jersey, where the mayor revealed that agents carried out a raid at a business on Thursday. The federal aid at Ocean Seafood Depot in Newark's Ironbound section caught its owner, Louise Yanoda, by surprise. He told Eyewitness News that agents asked for documentation for 3 workers and took them into custody when they couldn't provide it. I feel like we have to be a country of law, but we have to go after bad people, not working people. These are family people. These are people who show up to work every day. ICE Newark said in a statement, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement may encounter U.S. citizens while conducting field work and may request identification to establish an individual's identity, as was the case during a targeted enforcement operation at a work site today in Newark, New Jersey. This is an active investigation and per ICE policy. There's no word yet from ICE of Homeland Security as to why these individuals were detained, but the move has infuriated local officials. Congresswoman LaMonica McIver of New Jersey's 10th District said her office has reached out to the Department of Homeland Security to get answers on how ICE was allowed to come in without warrant and without justification to detain not only immigrants, but citizens and even a veteran of our nation's military. Now, the King Dude, oh my gosh, we have instigated a comment from the King Dude in the
Okay.
Crusade Stadium chat room.
I'm
by the way.
infuriated. Without a warrant, maybe, but not without justification. If you live in a sanctuary city, I am now justified to come in and remove every illegal there, period. By definition. I don't need justification. You are not supposed to be here. Period. Period. Do I need a warrant to enter someone else's property in order to remove you? Yes. That's it. I'm done. That makes me so angry. Like, what in the hell kind of justification do we need? You broke the law. You're not supposed to be here. And whoever hired you, I don't care if you're a family man. You're an illegal family man. Go be a family man in your country, not mine.
It just reminded me of a song. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I just am like, when you tell me I need justification, nope, no. And the veteran who's mad about having to produce his papers, he wasn't asked for his papers. He was asked to prove who he said he was, period. And he probably was asked to prove he was a veteran because he was like, "I'm a veteran. Do you know who I am?" Yeah, done.
Oh, man. As mentioned a moment ago, we have elicited a rare golden comment from the King Dude himself, Mike Church, over in the Crusader Stadium chat room. He had to stop what he was doing on Saturday, log in, and then comment in the Crusader Stadium chat. I will reveal what that chat says when we get back from the break. This is the first hour of the breakdown in the can. Coming up next hour, we will reveal what Mike Church, the King Dude, said in the chat room. Keep it locked in right here on the breakdown, folks. All right,
I have to take a minute.
Oh
Be
man,
right back.
Do not calm down, Eric. I swear, if you come back and you're chill, I'm
so mad right now. I'll be right back.
Oh, this is fantastic. This is fantastic. I am trying. If you're still, King Dude, we have to talk Erica into getting her own show. Because I know that there are a lot of people out there who think that I am woke, that I have gone beyond the pale when it comes to this stuff. I am trying to be as consistent as possible with my beliefs about unfettered freedom. And I know that there are people out there, obviously, who are much smarter than I am. And obviously, in this case, when it comes to the Constitution and the application of law, that is the King Dude himself. I am trying to be as consistent as possible here to ensure that all Americans are protected by the Constitution and that all citizens. Now, I know that you say, well, they're not citizens, they're here illegally, etc. And then that you can walk back the conversation in that regard to whether or not the policy of immigration is ethical, moral, or legal when it comes to the United States. Now, from my limited knowledge of the Constitution, there is only the establishment of the federal government's ability to regulate naturalization of a citizen, right? So the naturalization of a citizen is whether or not how that person becomes a citizen in the United States. It is not about how that person comes into the United States. If it's through the border, if it's by boat, plane, air, whatever way that they decide to get here, if an underground tunnel, however they decide to get here, that's not what the federal government's responsibility is. That's left up to the states. So by my understanding, and again, I would love for the King Dude to comment on this as well. By my understanding, if a person comes into this country through, Arizona or New Mexico or Texas or Baja California, wherever it is, they come across the border, that if there are more people than what they want, that is up to those individual states to determine how they want those people to come across the borders and how they're going to control that in their state. So the application of the Constitution to those states and how they enforce their borders is not the federal government's responsibility, from my understanding of the Constitution. Now, I know that with the incorporation of the 14th Amendment, that was the incorporation doctrine that took the Constitution and then applied or incorporated the Bill of Rights to the individual states, which gave the federal government jurisdiction to enforce your Second Amendment rights, freedom of press, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, Fourth Amendment rights, etc., to each state. Which so now the Supreme Court and the government controls and regulates the application of that when it's not supposed to. The Bill of Rights was made to prevent the federal government from overstepping their bounds and then applying that to the states. So that the 14th Amendment flipped that on its head, right? So that's where the issue is, because now when people are like, well, that's unconstitutional. You cannot prevent me from my freedom of speech. You cannot prevent me from dressing up like a woman and going in as a man and going into a library and letting kids crawl all over me. That is my First Amendment right. That's my freedom of speech, and I can sue you in the federal courts. Well, actually, if a state wants to say, hey, perv, you can't dress up like a woman and let kids crawl all over you, that is the answer to the drag queen story hour. So if that is the answer, so if each state decides we don't want perverts dressing up and going into oh my gosh, we got to start the show. I might going off here. All right, so let me start this next hour. Welcome back to the breakdown, everybody. Thanks for staying with us during that break. I am doing something right now. If you're listening, I'm sending you a text, Mike. Where'd it go? Where did it go?
You're causing trouble. You're going to get us in trouble.
Oh, man, I tell you. Oh, you're going to love this comment. Where did it go? Is this it?
And by love, you mean
What's
cringe?
that?
I said, and by love, you mean cringe? Oh, my goodness.
Okay, so here's the comment that the King Dude said. He said, if you go into a public part of the business to arrest illegals, you do not need a warrant, but it is customary to inform the business of the raid. Okay. He also says that U.S. Code 814 Article Section 3 says it's illegal to harbor an illegal. Ocean Seafood was ratted out for having dozens of illegals working there. And then he follows up with this comment, Erica. I'm with Erica for ICE secretary.
Yes.
I'm
yes. Gosh, thank you. I mean, somebody has to say the hard part.
And I tell you, I 100% agree, but I'm trying to figure out, and I'm going to work through it on air because I don't know how else to work through it. And I just said, I'm going to put him on blast. I just sent Mike a request. I asked him if I sent him a link, if he'd join us. It does not have to be video. It could be audio, but if I just send a link to you, Mike, if you would join us to talk about this, because his knowledge of the Constitution and the application of this far surpasses mine and most people out there. Right. I swear to you, if you go to shop.mikechurch.com, and I'm not just saying this to suck up, this literally changed all that information that I just told you that I was talking about during the break that most people heard. All of that information about the incorporation doctrine and the application of the illegal application of the Bill of Rights to the states. That's what the incorporation doctrine is. When they incorporated the Bill of Rights, to the states, where now the federal government flipped that amendment on its head, whereas the Bill of Rights were created to restrain the federal government. When they passed the 14th Amendment, they said, F you, we're flipping this, and now it gives us the right to apply those to the states. That created the monster, the Leviathan, the Mordor on the Potomac, to quote Mike Church, of the application of the Bill of Rights to the states, which destroyed sovereignty of the individual states. Because when you walk it back to see what the Constitution was created for, each individual state was its own country. You have the country of Louisiana, the country of Kentucky, the country of Indiana. Each one of those were a sovereign country. Okay. And their rules and regulations are what applied and what controlled their laws. It was not the federal government that did that. So if you wanted to stop Drag Queen Story Hour, you had every right to. If you wanted to establish a state religion, you had every right to. If you wanted to prevent certain whack jobs from having guns, you had every right to. Why did each state have their own constitution? Right? Why did each state adopt their own constitution? Because the federal government's constitution is mainly administrative. It tells you how to run the executive, legislative, and judicial branches of the federal government. The Constitution is not about your free speech. The Constitution is about the government not doing things and how to operate. Right? Okay.
And you know where this works? I mean, you translate this. I do, at least. You can translate this. You know where the American public in the States, they got it wrong because now they lost it, right? They used to be like each state you could consider its own LLC. They had their own operating agreements, they had their own management agreements, they had their own situations based on their local culture, their local education, everything, right? And in government, they stripped that away in the Constitution over time, right? But in the private sector, that still exists. If you run your business like that, you're going to go places. And don't ever take it public. It works.
Keep talking.
Well, I mean, you have to give the states back the rights to do what they want to do, right? And can't they, to a certain point, Aaron, trump the federal law, right?
Are you talking about the states?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but it should. They're not the LLCs they used to be. There are some parts of the Constitution that strip rights away from the states by taking it away from you as a citizen. Or am I not interpreting that correctly?
I am trying to. Here's what I'm doing. I am trying to get Mike linked up here real quick so we can hear his audio. And
I just think wait, gifted guru, that violates the letter from Jefferson to the Baptist that is misapplied to create the separation of church and state. Oh, okay. That's actually I mean, it's the same subject, guru, just different line.
so that violates the letter from Jefferson to the Baptist that is misapplied to create the separation of church and state. Help me understand how you're applying that here, gifted, because yes, the separation of church and state, it's not a constitutional thing. And that again is is a misuse or misapplication of that. So I believe I follow what you're saying. I apologize. I'm a smidge distracted because I am
He's
on
trying
the
to
verge.
he's trying to do technical stuff at the same time. I mean, yeah, if we're staying on the subject of these people that going in without the warrant, I mean, it sounds like Mike has the line on how they did that without a warrant, right? I mean, I just don't I'm almost to the point where if you're a person who's harboring these illegals and saying things like they're a family man, I think maybe you should just go with them. Can we just send you too? Because you don't get it. You don't get it.
See that?
Look,
Yeah.
let me explain something that I think gets missed a lot. It's the American dream. It's not the Mexican dream. It's not the Venezuelan dream. It's not the Russian dream. It's not the Greenland dream at this point. It's the American dream. And if you're just here to be a family man or you're just here to do right by you and that's not what it's about. And you're not supposed to be here and you didn't do it right. And if you did it illegally, then you don't understand the American dream in the first place. So get out. There. Are you
Um,
done yet?
and so here, yes, it is an emotionally manipulative thing to do that. Okay, to say, well, they're family people. They okay, I understand that they're family people. That's not the reason we're coming after them. We're not coming after them because they're douchebags or because they're not taking care of their kids because they're not working. That's why they're going after them is because they're in the country illegally. Now,
Yeah.
I use illegally as a quoting fingers because again, I'm trying to figure out if the application of the creation of those laws are actually illegal. Because
Well, I
it's
mean,
one thing to arrest a person like the pro-life activists or the J6 demonstrators. They arrest them and they put them in jail, and people are like, well, they broke the law. It's illegal. No, it's only illegal in so much that you have created a law to make something that they did illegal, but that does not mean the basis of that law is ethical or it is actually illegal. Does that make sense?
yes. Yes, of course. That makes perfect sense. I get it. But I still I just they are douchebags. They broke the law. Where like I'm not I work with douchebags every day that I sign a paycheck for. They're allowed to work. They're still douchebags. It
Yes.
doesn't mean they're not good at their job. I don't wanna know what they do when they go home. I try to stay out of their personal lives. I'm not friends with them on Facebook. I hope to God none of them are illegal. One of the requirements is they have to be authorized to work in the United States, and I require proof. And if I don't and I get raided by ICE, then that's my own fault.
Yes. Okay. He says I should be able to hear him in StreamYard. How do I? Oh, you know what? Hold on a second.
I
Let
mean,
me.
I don't know. I think it's not even a bleeding heart liberal. It's just a bleeding heart. If you're just a bleeding heart, God
It's
bless you. God bless you. God bless you because the world needs all kinds, and there's a place for somebody that has that type of compassion. I feel like my side of the compassionate play is the one that says, "I'm not doing you any good by picking you up when you can walk. I'm not doing you any good by folding your laundry when you have 2 arms that work. I'm not doing you any good," and I prefer that side of compassion.
Mike, are you with us?
That's a no on my end.
Okay, yeah, I don't hear him either. I am. It's kind of a nightmare to try to get this working here. I turned myself off. Okay. Um, if I unmute this, it goes crazy. If um,
Do you guys wanna know, what I'll bring up something
yeah,
also completely random, and while he's working on that, you know how I was saying earlier that we're one of the only countries that has all this crap in our food, and we allow this stuff in our water and, all these kinds of things. Um, do you also know that we are the world's leader in abortion? 'Cause you were saying, like, you wanted an amendment banning abortion. Do you know that we lead the world in abortions? Are this We're supposed to be the moral, ethic, righteous, and most of the other countries in the world know that it's murder. They know. They don't kill babies. And we do it and act like we're proud of it. It's a joke to the rest of the world that we even proclaim to be faithful and God-fearing people. They're like, "What?" And that's just on that one subject. I just thought I would throw that out there. You can look it up. We're the world's leader.
um, there we go. Oh, let's see this out here.
Yeah, Jamie, I agree with you. The world does need all kinds, but if you're going to be a bleeding heart, you better be tough and learn to manage your feelings. That's what she says. I mean, and I agree with that. And those of us who are not that type of person, I think that part of our responsibility is to look out for those that are because we need them. Sometimes they keep us grounded, like, "Hey, whoa, you're going too far. You might want to take a step back. That's a little too much," right? You need that person to go, "Hey, is that really the most compassionate thing?" Because you need that, right? But these people also need those like us to look out for them and to say, "Hey, you know what? You're going to need to think about yourself too sometimes." Because you need to and you need to think about what's best for people even if you have to make the hard decisions. I don't know how that's how you be a good leader, even if it's in your family, even if it's in your classroom, even if it's in your work, just in your office. You're not trying to make followers. You're trying to make disciples, right? No?
Did I have myself muted? I had myself muted, didn't I?
I'm like, "No? Am I just going off on a tangent here that's not there?"
Yeah. Oh, there's my echo again.
Yeah, I just don't know how you can't lead by being an idiot, and if you're getting idiot responses, maybe you should look at your leadership.
So here, since we're on this conversation, I will also bring this up: the birthright citizenship executive order that Trump implemented. Now, again, trying to remain consistent on this and trying to be as fair as possible. Do you remember back when Obama said that he could all he needed was a pen and a cell phone? And
Right.
that's one of those situations currently with ICE. I don't know if y'all can hear that echo or not there. Um, but
No.
that is, I hear that echo on my end. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to figure out how to get Mike piped in here, and I think he's working on it too. And because I'm sure he's like ready to explode with all the things I'm saying.
I mean, what did you just say? Could you say that again, please?
So trying to be as consistent as possible. The repealing of the 14th Amendment to where the birthright citizenship is rejected. So the back when Barack Obama said that all he needed to get things done was a pen and a cell phone. And now we see Donald Trump applying the same principle and the same law rule, and folks are going nuts. They're loving it. Oh, that's what he has to do. This is a constitutional amendment. You cannot repeal or change a constitutional amendment with an executive order. There's a simple. You're talking about being a nation of laws and law and order and following the Constitution and fidelity to the founders. None of that is happening right now when you're trying to repeal the 14th Amendment with a pen and a cell phone. And
Right.
and to
Although
see that is infuriating to me because that doesn't compute in my mind that strives for consistency.
I think we have to be slow to react on some of these because I haven't read the full executive order, and just like the left is going insane of thinking the Equal Rights Amendment has been repealed, which there never was one, or, we're causing panic in something where we haven't even read the entire executive order, right? Like, what you know what I mean? The title of it, we shouldn't be reacting to the title. We should be looking at what's in it and what does it really do. Like, if it goes in to address, the baby factory, that is a multi-million dollar business in this country where you can buy a package to fly here, be pampered like a spa patient, and give birth, and that baby and then you fly home. It's a business, and stopping that, I'm all for it. I don't know what you need to do it. I don't know if it's an executive order. I don't it certainly isn't the conscience of the individuals that live here because obviously they don't have one, and it you can they come from all over the world just to have a kid here. There are hospitals that get kickbacks just to give birth to these
Yes.
illegals, and it's a business, and you have to stop that. You have to stop people from coming here and having a kid in order to just gain the benefits of that, right? You have to.
Yes. And what I'm saying is not apply. to the entire situation. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make sure that when you apply that to like for instance, ICE raids a business owner says these are family people, ICE says these are illegals. Okay, that's the case. On
Right.
this side, by saying, these folks come across the border from around the world, they have a kid, they leave. That's not the issue at hand. Whether or not that's right or wrong is not necessarily part of this conversation. I mean, although I agree with you, it is whether or not Donald Trump is able to, by an executive order, remove an amendment that has been ensconced in the Constitution. So
No.
that would be what the argument is.
Yeah, no, you obviously can't do that. You can't do that any more than, like I just said, you can't do that any more than Biden and Kamala can put out a tweet that says the 26th Amendment or whatever they said, 28th Amendment has now been ratified when it wasn't. You can't do that. You can't do that.
Right, right, and it is all. So and that is again that's one of those things that I see that we have to be consistent on. We can't just say, well, since Donald Trump is doing what we want him to do, therefore he can you sidestep the Constitution and sidestep his authority as a president and write these. Because just think about this. Imagine the precedent that sets. Yeah, next president we get is a liberal. Next president says, you know what? No more guns. So we're just going to use an executive order to say all guns will be confiscated. Second Amendment is null and void, and we're going to come door to door and take away your weapons. You would not like
Mm.
this. So if you wouldn't like that, and I'm not saying you, Eric, I'm saying a collective you people, and I wouldn't like it either.
No, nobody would like it. But you okay, you also have to be responsible enough and mature enough. I mean, do your frontal lobes work out there? You know, you have to be mature enough to hold Trump as responsible as an individual who holds an office as you would anybody else. There should be no blanket acceptance of anything that anybody who's the president of the United States does. You have to have your eyes open. You have to be paying attention. And just because you're activated now because you think that they're going to do something that's going to help you does not mean that you shouldn't be ready to call them out when they cross the line. Isn't that what we're supposed to be all about? Holding people accountable?
Yes, that is exactly what we're supposed to be about. Mike, I'm going to go ahead and try this. If you can hear me, go ahead and try to speak and see if we can hear you.
Dun, 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 dun. That would be a no.
Oh crap, he's playing last week's now.
Can you hear him? Because I can't.
I don't think he's talking right now. So
Okay.
what I'm gonna have to do, I'm gonna have to take this week and find a way. Okay, so I'm live now. Go ahead and if you're there, Mike, and you're still willing, go ahead and give me a sound here, just sound check and see if you're able to talk. And we'll try to pipe you in. Feel free to interrupt me if you desire as well. This brings us to our, to the birthright citizenship as well. We're coming up on a break here in just a minute, actually. So let me see if that is going to be impacted by this. And I'm going to go here and try to fix this on my end. We're all right here. Crap. I hear him. But man, I think the issue that I have on my end is that in order to get him here, it's
I
crap.
can I can hear him, but it's, kinda like you're sort of echo you sound like you're in a hallway.
Mike, can you hear me? I don't think he can hear me. Um, yeah,
Okay, so here's another thing I'll bring up while Aaron's working on this, which is totally unrelated to anything we're talking about, right? This is just a fun thing, and maybe I'm late to the game and you all already know about it, but um I think I've talked about this before. I'm totally into auctions and estate sales, and if I'm looking for something specific or if you're just into old stuff, new stuff, specific artists, if you like books that you're looking for, Aaron, like copies of specific manuscripts or whatever, um I just sign up for all these auctions and get all these notifications every time that there was an auction going on. But there is a site, there's an app that you guys can download out there. It's called Whatnot. And it's literally like the auction site TikTok style. You join live auctions for whatever you want, and you go in and you tell it, like, "This is what I'm looking for. This is what I like. This is the level I want. This is the artist whatever you're looking for," and you just put it in there, and it'll bring you live auctions of all kinds of stuff. Vintage jewelry, artwork, handmade things. If you're looking for it and you wanna get it, cheap, right? I mean, and I'm talking clothes, cars, everything. You can go on there and download it, and I've been having a lot of fun watching these live auctions. I promise you, I think that some of it is people on the street that have illegal or black market goods that they're selling on this auction site. But it's getting 4 and 5 stars as far as fulfillment of when you buy something on this auction site, and things go the bidding starts at, like, $5. I don't know. If you're looking for something, download it, see what you think. I've been having fun with it lately. It's kinda fun.
What's it called again?
It's called Whatnot.
Whatnot.
It's literally an auction app where you download it and you tell it what you're looking for, and you can be specific about it, or you can and then you can just go on it, and it's like TikTok. It's live auctions of stuff that you have put in there that you're interested in, and you can bid on it, and the bidding starts at, like, $5.
I have, that's funny that you bring that up. Somebody did, Jay Sparkles commented in in the chat over on Rumble. She said, "Have y'all seen that people are selling old cell phones that have TikTok installed?"
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
people were selling phones for $25,000 that
yep.
had TikTok already installed. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, more from this and bad theology coming up as well. So we will see you on the other side of the break. So what I'm trying to do, my setup here is not as professional as I'm finding out. Um, so I go from my soundboard into my MacBook to go to StreamYard, and then StreamYard broadcasts to the Crusade channel. Audio there sounds great. Everything sounds, from what I'm aware of, sounds fantastic. But I can't get the audio from that back to my computer, which is the issue that I'm facing here. So what happens is I create a loop back, because in order to sign into StreamYard and to open a channel for Mike, I have to shut my channel down and he can't hear me. So I'm trying to figure out how to get him piped in, and I don't know. What I'm going to have to do is kind of conference with him at some point this week and figure out how I can pipe in guests on this. There is a Rumble link that folks can join the stream like this. But in order to do that, they would have to, just go to Rumble Studio and sign in. But that's, like I said, that's all just it's a technical thing. And so Mike has not refused to come on the show. He's actually been working pretty diligently here trying to get on, and the issues on
Probably
my side.
fuming.
It's not his
He's
side.
probably typing at the speed of light right now.
I tell you what, I mean, and the issue's on my side. It is not on his side. I mean, he is the quintessential professional when it comes to this stuff, a freaking genius when it comes to mechanical crap and mechanical stuff. So I mean, he's been in the industry for over 30 years, and I've been in the
Oh, yeah,
industry.
this is a complete failure on Aaron's part, you guys. Don't blame Mike Church.
It's all me.
Kidding.
It is all
I'm
me.
just kidding. Oh my gosh. I mean, obviously, I don't know.
All right, folks, welcome back to the breakdown. Thanks for staying with us during that break and appreciate it greatly. So all of this kind of goes in together, and I am sure so many people are going to get scorched over this. And, to be honest with you, that's what I love doing. Don't forget, by the way, to check out and just simply go to mikechurch.com or go to crusadechannel.com. Live radio, the way it should be. That's where we're broadcasting right now. Our affiliate over there. And you can also join the Rumble chat or the Crusader Stadium chat room over there to talk with the other folks. We have several comments here. Let's see. It says... It's the modern CRM 114 says it's the modern interpretation of parts of the 14th Amendment that's the problem. If I had to do with newly freed slaves and persons born, yes, exactly, and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. A Mexican citizen is subject to the Mexican jurisdiction, not the U.S. So that's the reason that the 14th Amendment was passed, and in the language that it used was to ensure that the federal government could not make the states. That people who were born in the jurisdictions of those states were considered natural citizens, so that that folks who had slaves could not say, well, they're not U.S. citizens, so they're not under jurisdiction, etc. That was the reason it was created, and it has been used to apply to anybody born here in the United States, which is an application of that. Whether or not it's constitutional, whether or not it's proper, whether or not it's right, that all comes down to the application of this, the application of this, right? So that is where the overall problem is being implemented. So
Yeah, you can't just say it and make it so. That's not how it works.
Right. I think Mike's given up, and I don't blame him for that. I don't know if I have it fixed or not. It's probably going to still be screwed up. But here, let's jump into this. It's time for a bad theology.
You're teaching some bad theology. Your bad theology's annoying me. Oh, you're teaching some bad theology. Repentance is the only cure that you need.
That's right, folks. This is part of the program where we say, that's some bad theology. And we address these different types of applications of theology in the country, in churches, etc. This is an interesting one here. I just think it's kind of funny. Man approaches random doors wearing satanic mask and holding a Bible verse. So this is this is a guy. I'm going to go ahead and try to share this one because we have not done any videos here this week today on the show. It's all just been this old school. And if you're wondering what happened to the video last week, Erica in a move of providence forgot her laptop at her office, and because of that, we went ahead and just did the show because she was having issues on our end, I was having issues on my end, so we just decided we're gonna go old school and do this without the camera, right? So we had a blast doing it. So we were like, hey, let's try this again. We don't have to get all gussied up. We can make ourselves look, however we want to. And my hair right now, it's not combed. I just look a mess, everybody. And I feel fantastic. And so we're doing it old school style with this type of audio only. And we're going to let the theater of the mind now run what's going on in your heads, what we look like, what we're dressed like, how we act. And I'm going to say that I look.
Okay, whoa. I don't want anybody picturing what I'm dressed like in their heads. Everybody just look at the FSU sweatshirt. That's where we are.
That did sound bad, didn't it?
Like, whoa.
The next thing I'm going to see is Timmy in the chat. Erica, what are you wearing? None of y'all, Timmy.
Right? Oh my God.
So here's this fantastic video that we have from this past week. Not a bad theology, just a really, really funny situation. Here we go.
When I saw that, I was like, what's the message here?
Prophecy? This is the first time we've had anything like this in this neighborhood. or prank?
It's so weird.
That's what folks in this Carrollton neighborhood off of Hebron are trying to figure out. On Saturday night, an unknown man approached a family's doorstep wearing a satanic mask, holding a sign that reads Revelation 20, verses 1 through 15. Passages that depict the apocalypse in Christianity and eternal judgment. Followers ascend to heaven, the condemned thrown into a lake of fire. Heavy stuff.
I was a little rattled that night, I will say that.
The footage shared to Nextdoor, where neighbor Scott Guerin watched it.
That's the kind of stuff you would, see it happen. It'll be scary.
And so did Gloria Johns. The man not just approaching the family's front door, he walked behind their home and stood in front of a driveway camera too.
We spoke to the homeowners who captured this footage. They filed a police report, but understandably so, they didn't want to do an interview with us because they are on edge. They've lived here for decades, don't know who this person is or what their message means.
Carrollton police telling me they're not aware so far of this person being on anyone else's doorbell cameras, and that this person hasn't committed a crime. For them to be considered trespassing, they have to bypass a barrier like a fence, ignore verbal warnings, or stay on the property after being told to leave. Nonetheless, they're monitoring the situation to ensure public safety. A spokesperson saying, "We encourage residents to remain vigilant and report any suspicious activity to police."
We do mostly know each other, and they're all very nice, so yeah.
After spotting a stranger like this, that's what folks here plan to do. In Carrollton, I'm Matt Howerton.
So there you go. Erica, you're at home. Somebody knocks on your door. You look at your Ring camera, and it's this guy with a Satan mask on and a cardboard sign
Yeah.
that says
Um,
Revelation.
I'm calling police. I mean, first of all, I'm locking and loading. Then I'm calling police.
I looked this up. So Revelation 10, there is no Revelation 10 verses 1 through 15. It's
Oh
Revelation
my
10
God, this
verses 1
guy,
through.
I mean, okay, he looks very serious. I mean, is it possible that this is like a bunch of teenagers and he lost a dare?
That could be possible. Yes, that could
Because
be possible.
it's not even a real Bible verse. Like truth or dare gone wrong.
Oh, you know what?
Maybe.
I was wrong. I put in 10. That doesn't say 10. That says Revelation 20.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah. So here it is. Here's what it says. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that, he must be loosed a little season. And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus, and for the word of God, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands. And they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years. But the rest of the dead lived not again until 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection. Blessed and holy is he that hath part in the first resurrection. On such the second death hath no power, but they shall be priests of God and of Christ, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. And when 1,000 years are be loosed out of his prison, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. And when they end up on the breadth of the earth, and compass the camp of the saints about in the beloved city, and fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them. And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. And I saw a great white throne, and him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and the heaven fled away, and there was found no place for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were opened, and another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books, according to their works. And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and the death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them, and they were judged every man according to their works. And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. So that's Revelation 20, verses 1 through 15.
yeah. I mean, it's very, yeah. Jamie in the comments says this dude's going to get himself hurt. I agree with that assessment. I think it's very random. No other Ring doorbell cameras. Is this like and on second thought, I mean, it could be a teenager, but he does look fairly tall, right? So it's not a kid. It's not a young kid. Why only one house? It was
Yeah.
so weird. Like, I mean, I almost feel like, does this guy know something we don't know about the neighbor? Are you cheating on your wife and he knows? You know what I mean? Like, is there some other message here that is not nearly as nefarious as we think? Because it was only one house. Wouldn't you think he would show up at all the houses in the neighborhood? Like it's some kind of den of hedonism,
You
right?
know,
Or like, why just one house?
you know what I always wanted to do? I always wanted to get one of those tent sign things that you put over your neck and it has the front and you have like a what I can't like
A
it's like a
tent sign?
wearable
Like
tent.
an A-frame sign? I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like you put it over top of you. I always wanted to get two people. One start at one side of town and on the tent card or on the sign that you're carrying, it says the end is near. And then on the other side of town, have somebody walking towards your direction, okay? That has a sign on him that says the end. And you're like, see, he's right there. The end is near, right across the street, something like that. That's funny in my head. Thanks for anybody who giggled at that.
Yeah. Wow. I just got a small glimpse into what it's like to be one of your daughters in the car. Hey, quick thought, Bree. What do you think of this? I'd be like, oh God, there's an eye roll right here, Audrey. Audrey, I'm rolling my eyes. FYI.
Uh, Erica's eye roll right there. So here's that one thing that's going to drive people absolutely bonkers, I'm sure. This is there was an inaugural prayer that where did it go? Okay. This is the bane of my existence. Whenever I try to play something from Instagram, it drives me insane on the show because I have to time it and unmute it and all of this stuff. I'm being so lazy right now and whining so much. Where did it go? So this is going to be a minister at the inaugural prayer service for President Trump and JD Vance and all the people within the government that happened on Tuesday, the day after the inauguration, post-inauguration, etc. Here is this video. I'm going to try to get it. Try to time it right here. So here it. Oh, where did it go? Hold on a second. There we go. Okay. I'm going to refresh. And
Make one final plea, Mr. President. Millions have put their trust in you. And as you told the nation yesterday, you have felt the providential hand of a loving God. In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families, some who fear for their lives. And the people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meatpacking plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals, they may not be citizens or have the proper documentation, but the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals. They pay taxes and are good neighbors. They are faithful members of our churches and mosques, synagogues, wadara, and temples. I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities whose children fear that their parents will be taken away, and that you help those who are fleeing war zones and persecution in their own lands to find compassion and welcome here. Our God teaches us that we are to be merciful to the stranger, for we were all once strangers in this land.
I did think it was a good service. Now, thank you very much.
Thank you, press. Thank you, press.
They could do much better.
You think?
All right. Okay, Erica. So hit me with your thoughts on that.
I can't decide. Okay, my thoughts on it are that is completely outrageous, and were I sitting on the opposite side of that, I would have been quickly trying to make, like MacGyver style, a spitball launcher so I could launch spitballs at her face the entire time she talked. Okay, that's now there's the Trump side of it, which everybody wants to criticize him, right? But I can tell you, if I was sitting there, I would have gotten up and I would have walked out, and he did not. He sat there, but, like, mostly courteously. I think there was some chit chat. I think JD Vance obviously looked at him like, "Are we getting up?" I think, right? I think that was a look, and he followed suit, like, "Nope, we're gonna sit here and take it." I think Trump was the adult in that situation, and I think that she's just another example of why women shouldn't be preaching anything.
Okay. Appreciate your opinion on that. I'm going to get some comments from some folks in the chat as well. Jay Sparkles said that lady wanted her 15 minutes of fame. I bet she had her interviews lined up before she ever opened her mouth.
Agree.
Let's see. Brian Jackson joined us in the chat. Brian, welcome, sir. He says a real minister would pray in the name of Jesus as prescribed by Scripture. This is more like the no Scotsman fallacy there, but you can expand on that a little bit. Did she not say in Jesus' name, or like what was it that she that she said there? Noel fan, don't know who this is. Must be a new follower. Nola Fanawan. No Fanawan. No
She said they paid taxes. No, they do not. If they paid taxes, people would know where they were and they would be arrested. No, they do not pay taxes. Shut your face. No, they don't.
Let's see. Brian actually agrees with you there, Erica.
Oh my God. Wait,
and
hold on. Now I have to sit down.
Space Hippie says, as a minister, asking for mercy for those that are afraid is okay, but making it so political was inappropriate. How did she? Where's the line that you see that Audrey that she made this political? Like, at what point did it go from not pleading for mercy to being political there?
Wait, hold on. I find the whole thing ridiculous. It's okay for her to pray for him to have mercy on people in the name of Jesus. Period. Full stop. The second she went on to say, who are afraid, shut up. Who are afraid for their lives, shut up. Who are transgender and children, shut up. Shut up. None of that should have been said. Asking him to have mercy on people in the name of Jesus as the leader of the country, okay, full stop. It ends there. Everything after that is inappropriate.
So we have some other folks chiming in here. So Audrey was saying labeling the people, like you just said, labeling folks was where she made it political. And Deb says here, freedom of speech. But okay, yeah, there we go. So it says freedom of speech asking. I'm sorry, no. Freedom of speech, but it was highly political and failed Doc's rule number 5. Doc's rule, number 5 rule is just because you can doesn't mean you shouldn't. So just because she can speak in this situation doesn't mean that she shouldn't speak in this situation, is what she's saying there.
No, it's his rule is just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Should,
So
yes,
maybe that's a typo. So yeah, just because you can stand up there and have the right to say that doesn't mean you should. Try to be authentic without being transparent, and people might even actually respect you more. She was egregious and pathetic.
I don't see egregious and pathetic there. And I'm not just being argumentative. I don't see how, because I mean, like, people are like saying it's disgusting and she should be whatever this and Trump said.
Okay, well then why not this? All right, fine. I'm sitting there and you want me to take that respectfully. I'm a straight white single woman. How about the straight white men? How about the heterosexual people? How about the people that love trees? How come we're only talking about transgender children? And how come we're only talking about illegals? What about me? What about me? It was completely motivated. If you're gonna talk about that, be respecting that. Respect it. You have to name every single marginalized BS group in the entire country. Otherwise, you're just signaling out the pressing buttons for an emotional reaction, and you're pathetic.
I don't see it that way. I see it as those being the groups that she is extremely concerned about. I see it as somebody that I mean, like the majority of people who join the who are involved in faith communities, they go to church on a regular basis, are involved working in the communities that way. Suicide rates go down. Homosexual LGBT folks that join and are higher and more highly involved in their faith communities, their suicide rates increase drastically. College lesbians that are very involved in their communities, their faith communities, have a 52% higher chance of committing suicide. That is a danger, right? I don't care if they're gay. I don't care if they claim to be transgender. I don't care if they claim to have asexual, bisexual, whatever feelings, if they fall within the alphabet, the LGBTQIA plus movement, whatever it is. If they're in danger of killing themselves and it skyrockets, what's the issue? What can we do to help fix that? That's where the fear comes in. I worry about folks that, like, if a person says to me, oh, well, I'm going to such and such a church, right? If I know about that church, I'm going to be like, hey, whoa, hold on just a second. You ought not be going there. I'm going to speak up and say something about that because I fear for that person's spiritual well-being. If in this situation she is fearful for the LGBTQIA youth who genuinely think that the government is coming after them, right or wrong, she's asking Trump, have mercy on those people before you go off on your tangents that you like to go off on, the majority of which I think he has zero understanding of what he's talking about. I don't think he understands fully what the Stargate project is, the AI project that $500 million is being invested in. I don't think he fully understands the situation with the LGBTQ and the DEI understanding there. I don't think he fully understands it. I don't think he understands what he's talking about with Bill Gates regarding the implementation of vaccines and what Bill Gates' history of depopulation of the world is. I don't think he understands that stuff. And I really don't think that he understands the nuances that are in the LGBTQ movement. Does that mean that I endorse homosexuality? No, it does not. Does that mean I endorse transgenderism? No, it does not. It just simply it makes me think, hey, there's something going on here, right or wrong, that I am doing or that the church is doing or that the faith communities are doing that is harming in some way. Is it our presentation? Is it a lack of understanding on their part? Is it a lack of communication on our part? What is it? So she's just saying, have mercy on these folks before you go running your mouth and shooting your mouth off. That's a biblical concept, I think. And I also think for what it's worth and for, she was proven right about what he about the type of reaction that or the type of concern that she had. And what makes me say that? I say that because immediately he responded. He attacked the service. He did not say, first, I want to appreciate the fact that she had the courage to speak up. Instead, it was an ad hominem attack. The service was terrible. She was terrible. So it doesn't matter if she sucks. It doesn't matter if you think that she should be a minister. It doesn't matter if you want to use texts from the Bible, which are in question about whether or not Paul actually wrote them, to use as fodder against her. All right. That doesn't matter. What is the truth of what she's saying? Is there anything about what she's saying that is legitimate? Okay. So I think Trump his response should have been, I appreciate her speaking up. This is obviously a concern that's great for her. I will definitely be prayerfully considering what she said and approach this with mercy and grace the way that we're supposed to with the gospel. Thank you very much for the time. Why couldn't he have said that?
He could have, but that would be very unlike Trump, right? Number one. So I don't know why we're expecting
To
miracles
not
all of a
be an
sudden.
ass clown?
Yes, that would be very unlike him. Number one. Number two, I still think that if she's going to ask for mercy, there are all kinds of people who are afraid of Trump, not just the trans LGBTQ community. It's ridiculous for her to single them out and for you to think that she did that authentically or with serious concern, bullshit. BS. I don't believe that. I believe that that was meant to gin up a response that was expected, and Trump gave the response that was expected. His fault would be don't say anything at all, or you're right, he could have had a better response, but she could have had a better sermon, and he's right. It could have been a lot better. It could have been a
Well,
lot more inclusive. It could have been a lot more positive. It could have been a lot less fear-mongering, and it could have been a lot more healing coming from somebody of religious background. Just my opinion.
No, and I want your opinion. Absolutely want your opinion. That's why I'm having the conversation, because there could be a blind spot. I could be missing something here that I need to address, and maybe I'm
Yeah.
not making myself clear. So I'm saying that only because I need that interaction. I need you to disagree with me, or somebody to disagree with me, not necessarily on purpose, but just I need somebody to bounce these ideas off of, because
I'm
again,
just
I
gonna
could
hold
be.
them both responsible. She's responsible for she could have made better decisions in what she chose to talk about, given the opportunity to have the pulpit at that moment, and Trump could have chosen a better response. They're both responsible. And
All
both
right,
of and they're both predictable. Who would have predicted a white liberal woman pastor would stand up and make it about what sex you wanna have? Who could have predicted that? Whoa, shocker. Okay, so who could have predicted that Trump's response was gonna be dumb? Whoa, shocker. Wow. I mean, I just can't.
Yes, it is. And if you have just a couple of minutes after this, Erica, I want to get to a couple more things. I want to read some of the comments that are in the chat and address those folks that are saying that. But we are about to unfortunately end our broadcast over on the Crusade channel, and that is coming up, unfortunately, a little too quick. Let's see, CRM 114, before we leave over there, he says those comments should have been done in private, not a disrespectful public comment. That was his comment over there. And then there are several comments that we're ginning up over here on the in the chat on Rumble. So do me a favor, everybody, go to aaronbarker.substack.com. There you will be able to follow the show, and I promise you I'm going to get better at dropping all the shows. Don't forget as well, if you go over there, there is a new segment that I'm starting, a new section I'm starting over on the Substack, and it will begin on Monday, and that is Conspiracy 101. My goal is to just go from the beginning and just to go to basic levels of conspiracy theories and ideas, what they are, what they mean, and then present those in article form, maybe videos, multimedia, all different kinds of explanations about what it is that we're facing in the world today and why we live in the community, in the world that we have today. The Rothschilds, Area 51, false flags, Illuminati, Pizzagate, Committee of 300, it's a Reed Hollow Earth Exploring Club. All of that stuff is going to be addressed over there. So just go and join aaronbarker.substack.com. You can pay if you want, or you can do it for free. It's all up to you, folks. Thanks very much for staying with us on the Crusade channel. And until next time, make Christ supremely valuable. All right, we should be dark on the Crusade channel. If we're not, you can join us over on Rumble if you would like to, and just search for the Breakdown with Aaron Barker. So there we go. Let's do this. I'm coming back just a second, everybody. Okay. Man, I hope that wasn't muted there. It was not. Okay, Erica, can you still hear me? You still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, perfect. Let's go back and read some of these comments about this where we can. Let's see. Brian says, she said, in the name of our God. I mean, I don't think that's a problem to pray without saying in the name of Jesus. It's not a demand. In Acts, it says, whoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. It doesn't say you have to call upon the name of the Lord and then pray in the name of Jesus Christ in order to be saved. Jay Sparkles says here, she lost me when she said transgender children. That is, of course, there's a danger in that, because there's an application of this transgenderism that is being overly applied, overly diagnosed. I think that the transgender movement in what's the word I'm looking for here, Erica, where you essentially you exacerbate or you take seriously. I'll just say that where you're taking a child seriously that says they feel like they're the opposite gender is that is a danger. That is a danger. If a young
Yeah,
boy comes to you and says, "I'm a girl," and then you're like, "Okay, let's go buy you a dress,"
no, you shouldn't
I
be
believe that
appeasing
that's
that.
exactly entertaining it. You shouldn't be
Right.
entertaining.
No.
Um, and the space hippie said labeling people was where she crossed over the line into the political, and like you're saying, Erica, when she started calling out those groups, that's when it became political. Um, Deb says, "Our quote, our quoting fingers, our God."
Yeah,
Uh,
it's weird because why our like it didn't just God. Why I don't think it's that she didn't say Jesus. I think it's that she said our God. Like, what other God is there?
well, there are other gods. I mean, you have
Okay, but we shouldn't be talking about that. Like, what are we talking about here? I don't know. Yeah, I thought it was weird
yeah.
because it also somewhat implies that her God is different than mine if I don't agree with what she's saying. Our God hopes you have mercy on these people.
I,
Right?
I took it as her saying in the name of our God, in that in our God, like you and I, our
Yeah,
in
that's
the name of our,
probably what she meant by that.
yeah. And
But it is weird. It's weird.
yeah, I mean, and especially there are people who will have a problem with this. Um, uh, it's an uncomfortable topic. It's a very polarizing and angering topic here. And Space Hippie says she wasn't being inclusive for someone calling out marginalized groups. Yes and no. I'll just read your comment, but I mean, like, I, I think it's one of those situations where she's calling attention to something, and I as I say this, I guess it does kind of sound like I'm defending her for what she said. And to be honest with you, I am. I don't think that there's a problem with asking, as we've already covered, the president to be mindful and merciful to these folks. I do not think that at all. And to be inclusive for calling out, she wasn't being inclusive for someone calling out marginalized groups. Um, in order to bring attention to those segments, you do have to call them out. Unfortunately, you have to label them.
Yeah, but why in
And
that forum,
what?
Aaron? Why in that forum? Right? Because this is the inaugural service. We're supposed to all be trying to come together. And she could have just asked for mercy for all of those who may be. You didn't have to say who they were. We know what the hell you're talking about. We know who you're talking about. And there's a lot of people that aren't of those two groups who might be afraid. They might be afraid economically. They might be afraid in a number of different ways of Trump being president. In the same way that people are all of a sudden afraid of Elon Musk being Hitler. It's baseless. So you shouldn't be putting a name on it like that. Why in that forum when you're given the opportunity to bond and bring people together by not separating them with titles? Did you choose? I'm not saying that they don't deserve to be but not like that. I just think it was wrong.
Yeah, understood. Absolutely understood. I lost everything for a second there, so I can't. I lost all the chat as well, so I have to read. I'm not pinning, and it's not because of who's saying it. Any chats from here on, I can pin, but right now I can't. Let me go here. Brian says the left has demonized the right and fear mongering for the left has demonized the right and fear mongering for these marginalized people. That is, gosh, I don't know. I feel like Ross Perot. There is the great sucking sound coming from the chat. I mean, like it's like Brian is so simping over you today, Erica. I mean, like it is this. I
No,
mean,
look,
every
okay,
comment you
remember,
drop.
I'll give you an example because I truly feel like this. Remember before the show started when I said to you, I really think that my generation was the least racist in history, right? And you said you think it peaked during your generation and now it's going the opposite direction, right? Um, I think that the whole LGBTQ plus trans movement was perfectly healthy in my generation. We did not care. You do you, boo. We didn't care. We didn't care. Nobody cared until they started to act ridiculous and try to change children medically and physically and go into libraries and schools and have naked parades, right? And be given a whole month to celebrate their weirdness. Everybody's weird, and it was we didn't nobody cared. What they are doing, they have done to themselves. And now it's in the faith community where they're being forced to stick up for this kind of deviant behavior. It's disgusting, honestly. Man, I need a break. Can somebody bring me a drink?
Here, I get some Woodford over here. Hold on. You know, so there are a lot of things that that are happening here. So a lot of chats that are happening here. So we've got so Deb says she could have done all of that in private with Trump. Brian says you're right again.
Oh my God. I
Yeah, I know.
seriously, I definitely need to drink. I might be, maybe I just don't know I'm going off the rails because Brian's agreeing with me on several occasions, and I feel like am I on candid camera?
It's a big ploy. It says it was Roger Rabbit said, Erica, grow out your beard. You're the new bearded bishop of the show. Brian has agreed with you again.
Oh my God. Thank
Oh, look
God
at
this
that.
is not live.
What's
Thank
that?
God I said, thank God this is not live.
Oh, this is burning live, baby. This is all over the world. Like,
Oh my God.
let's see if I can go back to some of these chats. Now, Brian did say the left has demonized the right and fear mongering for these marginalized groups. I'm not sure I quite fully understand what it is you're saying, but the right has demonized the left. I mean, the statements like that really cancel each other out. The right has demonized the left. They're all communists. They're all socialists. They're all their minds are so open, their brains fall out. All that stupid crap that we hear all the time.
Right.
Yes. And they have also, the right has done a great job of demonizing any immigrant now, where it almost it's going to get to the point where
No,
citizens are
wait.
going to demand that that a Mexican or someone of another descent show them their papers to confirm that they're from the United States, that they're confirmed that they're a citizen. And if they're not, I guarantee you, there are going to be people calling ICE and having churches raided and businesses raided. I mean,
Okay,
that
hold
is
on. Hold on. No, that's not. No, Karen is not coming out of the woodwork in El Paso
oh
to
my
call
gosh.
on the local church.
Yes,
Okay,
they are.
like
Karen is
no,
here.
they're not. She doesn't have to. First of all, El Paso will hand them over because they're tired of dealing with it. Okay, and I mean, there nobody is going to be suspect of every immigrant in the country. Okay. And I don't think this is any more applicable to Mexico as it is any other country. I'm pretty sure that senator from Minnesota or that representative, whatever she is, who married her brother to get into the country should be on the list. Get out.
Oh, you're talking about Omar? Omar, yeah.
Yes, why it should all I'm not this should be applied liberally and even-handedly to everyone, not and I don't think it's gonna make people look at legal immigrants in a different way. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, and by the way, you brought it on yourselves. The same way that, people, what do they call it? Islamophobia? Well, then don't be terrorists.
Yeah. See, so before we get too far ahead of ourselves, I want to drop this in there as well. Do you enjoy free speech that Rumble is protecting and fighting for? Our show here on Rumble is the only possible thanks to our viewers supporting Rumble's platform by purchasing Rumble's products. And most of you out there drink coffee every day. That's why you have to try Rumble's 1775 coffee. It's actually some of the best coffee, and it's the same price as the coffee you buy now, but it's way better. Rumble's 1775 coffee is free from chemicals yet rich in flavor. This is because their beans are sourced from high altitude farms in Bolivia, handpicked, roasted weekly at their facility in Miami, and delivered fresh to your doorstep. And as believers in freedom, buying from Rumble helps fight back against woke corporations like Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts. Join the coffee revolution and brew rebellion with Rumble's 1775 coffee. Go to 1775coffee.com. Use code STUDIO and get a free month supply of their cognitive boosting supplement Limitless when you buy 2 bags of their coffee. Think about that. It's a crazy deal, and the supplement is worth more than the 2 bags of coffee. So go to 1775coffee.com. Try their amazing coffee. Follow that QR code on your screen right now, 1775coffee.com studio. Use the promo code to get 15% off and the free month supply of the cognitive boosting supplement Limitless. There you go, folks.
Yeah, just don't send it to Aaron because I will say back in the chat, it was a while back, but Audrey did say, can someone take the monster and coffee away from Aaron, please?
Are you serious? I didn't see that.
Oh, God. That's awesome. Awesome. Oh, my goodness.
Oh man, I love it. I like it. So is that I guess that's a bad thing. I apologize very much for my if I'm talking too fast today or over talking people. Let's see.
I love
Where
it.
was I in the what's that?
I loved it. I'm like, that's such a great comment. I don't even know what you were talking about at that point, but it's awesome.
I'll have to go back and check that out. Let's see. Space Hippie says, okay.
Oh, Gifted Guru. LGBTQ has to recruit because they can't reproduce.
Yeah, I've heard
Ding.
that.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
So LGBT, where was it? There were other comments I'm trying to find that when my system went boofer here. That should have been a prayer. Jay Sparkles says that should have been a prayer to God and a closed door conversation with Trump. She never would have gotten the audience with him. I honestly don't think she would have gotten the audience with him. He can say whatever he wants.
Okay, but that's a fault of Trump, not an excuse for her to go public like that. Like the fact that you can't get a private audience with him because he's closed-minded and that's a problem with him. That doesn't mean that you get to go, oh, well, I couldn't do it privately the way it should be done, so let me just go blab my face in public.
So what if this was Biden's and all? Let's say Kamala Harris was sitting in the audience. She was the president in
Right.
a dystopian, horrible society.
And you had a Graham up there giving the sermon?
I mean, like, well, let's say somebody was up there and they said,
Right.
Madam President, I would like to the exact same thing, but in the statement say, please have mercy on those political hostages and prisoners that are being wrongfully imprisoned against their constitutional amendments and their constitutional human rights, and release the unjustly imprisoned prisoners from the January 6th demonstration. I beg of you that you have mercy on the pro-life activists who have been jailed because they are exercising their freedom of speech. And I pray and beg and ask for mercy upon the unborn children in the United States who are being murdered and slaughtered daily in the tens of thousands, the millions of years, millions by year.
I would have loved it. I would have loved that, but I would have also said that was not the place for that. And I think I've proven that with my comments on this show after the last couple of years, that I'm just as disgusted with the politicians on the right and the middle than I am as I am with the left. Yeah, there's no R, there's no D. They're all bad.
Yeah, and so my point in this, and I don't see why why people are saying that this was not the right place for her to address the president. Why is it not the right place?
Because you're addressing the entire country, not just the president. He's not the only one sitting there. You don't have the president and his cabinet and his staff that are coming in that are going to be responsible for how this all goes. You have a church packed with people and it's being broadcast to the entire nation. It is not an audience with the president to which you get to outlay your expectations. Place and time. Have some self-awareness.
So why aren't Christians blowing their minds right now, blowing their tops over the fact that this was an interfaith service where Muslims were singing praises to their God, and there were people that were from other belief systems that were praying and asking for the blessings of their God upon this nation and upon the president?
I mean, I think it depends on where you look. I have seen quite a few groups talk about how inappropriate it was to even have them in that church praying like that. But that was more of Muslim disdain against the Muslims who took part in it, and more of disdain coming from the other faiths that were represented being willing to be there than it was, how dare we include them in that. Did I say that right? Did you understand what I just said?
I think
There were more Muslim groups upset about the Muslims being included and being willing to go in there. There were more, other of other faith, like, how I'm not saying this well. They were getting chided by their own groups more than they were getting chided by the people in the United States being upset that they were there.
yeah, okay. So those groups are where they
Where the blowback was, yeah.
Brian
How could you take part in that?
Brian says because this service is inconsequential. Then if it's inconsequential, this entire argument is moot.
Yeah, if the service is inconsequential, then she can say whatever the heck she wants.
Yeah,
Who cares, right? I mean, I'm exactly I'm actually saying I'm saying the opposite.
yeah.
I'm saying it should have been kept out of it altogether.
Okay.
You are there to give a blessing and a prayer and to be a uniting force. And in any thought differently, you're supposed to be bringing us together. If there's any place that it is, and the second that you start separating it, it's not inclusive, it's divisive.
Gotcha. Um, sorry, I'm trying to see if there's a way to
But
say
you're not
this.
gonna I'm not gonna tell you that people on the right are gonna be fine, and they're not gonna jump to conclusions, and they're not gonna take every little part of that the same way that Elon Musk is now a Nazi, um, and and manipulate it and use it to their benefit. Yeah.
So what do you think
Yeah.
about that whole thing with the Elon Musk and the salute or the symbol or the what he did?
It's just do you kn it's just ridiculous. Give me a break. This is a guy who took his entire family on a sabbatical that lasted for months, where they actually went and visited every single concentration camp because he was teaching them about the Jewish culture. This is a guy who wants electric cars and, like, beautiful utopian society and big trees and lions roaming free, and he's super socially awkward. We all know that about him. That interpretation of one of the most genuine moments, that guy doesn't even know how to be normal. Let's talk. Who doesn't know that by now? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Gotcha.
There you go. I'm gonna go drink right now. I'm calling a friend. I feel like my Saturday morning turned into me being really disgusted with the American public in general, and now I'm like, "Oh god, I should
Well,
probably."
don't get disgusted because then you're going to leave too, and it's only going to be me, and nobody's going to want to listen.
No, no, not leaving, just, like, with myself today. Like, I just need to calm myself down. It'll be okay.
Well, that sounds good. I'm gonna anytime you need to go, feel free to drop Eric. I understand. I'm gonna read a couple more of the comments here, and I think we're pretty much done. I mean, I really
Yeah.
wanted to address the whole Stargate thing.
Well, I think we can do that next time because it is a bit of a longer discussion.
Yeah,
I think, and, I maybe even would put a teaser out there to let people even look into it before we start talking about it.
yeah, yeah, because that's definitely something I want to have a conversation about and
Yeah.
and fully discuss this because there's so many implications. I'm happy that Trump released the J6 prisoners. That's phenomenal. I am really concerned about the fact that um, Bezos, Bill Gates, Zuck and Bezos were at the inauguration. You have him in conversations with Bill Gates. You have him bringing on other billionaires. This is turning into an oligarchy, and I don't want these rich punks running the country. That scares me, and it should scare a lot of people because I see Trump now becoming what we feared other presidents would become.
Okay,
And
but I see him actually reaching out to, I mean, keep your enemies close and your friends close and your enemies closer. I'd
Mhm.
rather know. I mean, look what they did when he wasn't involving them. I want my eyes on them. I want them to trust me. I want them coming in to share with me, and I want them to have a collaborative voice here because I doing it the other way did not work.
No, although the enemy's close, et cetera thing, yeah, I get what you're saying there, but no, not to be part of the administration, not to be actively advising and giving ideas for plans for policies. Absolutely not. I fear that. And that again is coming from somebody who is an RFK supporter. I want him there. And
Yeah.
he is like the quintessential dynasty and political family dynasty. So
But if you fear those things from Trump, then you have to go local, right? I mean, the president cannot just act unilaterally. Yeah, we're signing executive orders, but come on, okay? We still don't live in a country where if you have the right people in place, where the president can just act unilaterally.
yeah.
You don't.
Yes, to a certain extent, but that is a hallmark of what Trump does, and that is a hallmark of what people want. The fact that he does act with a pen and a cell phone. He's doing
I think
what
it's a
Obama's doing.
hallmark of all leaders of this country going back 50 or 60 years that they are acting unilaterally, whether they call it a phone and a pen, or whether it's the CIA, or whether it's the FBI, or whether it's their mob friends, or whether it's fake aliens, or whatever it is they decide to use. They're acting that way anyway because they have that much power and humans are fallible, period.
Yeah, they are, and I agree with what you're saying. I even have this is I don't know if this is I even have Audrey disagreeing with me.
I know, I feel like I should go. I'm like, "Oh god," I keep reading the chat. I'm like, "Oh no, this problem. Too many
I
people are agreeing with me. There's a problem when this many people are on my side. I feel like I'm crazy."
It says that Audrey says I see a man bringing in all resources to fix things. They are smart men, uh, and he's surrounding himself with brilliant minds.
It doesn't mean he has to listen to him. You right? I mean, it's you need that. If I okay, Aaron, look, if I only took advice or ideas from people that I 100% totally agreed with all the time, I would be a loser and the most unsuccessful person, and I'd be spinning in circles trying to figure out why I can't get through to anyone or why I can't reach my goals. It's because 'cause I'm an idiot at that point,
No, but
right?
that's not what I'm saying. But that's not what I'm saying because but here look at this. So he brings on RFK. We don't. I'm going to say we. I don't agree with him on 100% of everything that he says. But I love and I have for years supported RFK, followed him, read his publications and his books because I resonate with a huge amount of things that he says, but I also disagree with what he says on some things. But everything that we have spoken against. Amazon is being a corporation that's taking over the world. Zuckerberg is being the person who has affected and spearheaded reducing our rights and our freedom of speech on and censoring us on Facebook and deplatforming people. Bill Gates, as part of the global depopulation movement to try to kill as many people as possible. Those are the kind of people you don't have associations with. Like if he were bringing on Joseph Mengele, we would be like, you know what? I don't agree with everything Joseph Mengele says, but I'd like to have his mind around. No,
Right.
no, I think I'm just going to go ahead and keep Joseph Mengele out of my inner circle of trusted friends.
But that's
So
pie
when
in
you
the
have
sky.
somebody
Do
like
you
Bill Gates,
order from Amazon? Do you
but
order
that's not
from
the point.
Amazon? Yeah,
That's not the
well,
point.
isn't it, right? I mean, if we were really against those people having any kinda influence anywhere, we wouldn't be funding them in any way. Bezos wouldn't have influence if people didn't order from Amazon and it wasn't a billion-dollar corporation that's worldwide, right? I mean, we have to be held responsible for the people that are influencing or the who become influential. It's not
So
just
it's okay.
Trump
So it's
bringing
okay
in.
when people So it's okay when people from Monsanto have positions in the government with the Department of Agriculture.
No, I don't
That's
agree
exactly
with
what we're
any of
doing
it.
with. But that's what we're doing with Bill Gates. We're saying you have direct access to the president, whereas Monsanto has to go through a board or an agency. They can still impact policy, and they're going
Wait a
to
minute.
write around their laws.
So just because Monsanto doesn't have direct access to one person, the president, that means that they don't have the same influence. I think they have I think they have more influence because they have access to Congress and they can lobby Congress, and Congress can then make billions, as we know, off every single one of these individuals who's fighting for their own damn cause.
See, but so maybe I misspoke here.
And I think Congress has more influence in what actually gets signed into law than the president does.
What I'm trying to say is, what is any different from Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos or Mark Zuckerberg being that close to the president and potentially impacting his thoughts on ideas on things? Why is it okay for that? And people are like, oh, well, he's surrounding himself with really smart billionaires. But over here, when Monsanto is on the Department of Agriculture, we've been pounding the drum for years that their glyphosate is destroying lives and killing people, and that's a problem. It's okay if Bill Gates is part of it, but it's not okay that Monsanto is part of it. Again, consistency. I don't want Bill Gates anywhere around policy making, anywhere around ideas or ways that he can influence the already small-minded President Trump to think that his vaccine ideas are good. Because just remember, Trump still touts Operation Warp Speed as a huge success in his first term. It killed hundreds of thousands of people. The vaccine did. So just remember that. The guy who thinks he's a genius because he helped with because he did Operation Warp Speed is now joining hands and making out with the guy who admits to wanting to depopulate the earth. I mean, that's not woke. That's not woke. I mean, that is just me being as consistent as possible.
Oh my God. Okay, my stomach hurts. All right. I have to go.
Oh, yes. Okay. I appreciate it, Erica. You have a fantastic week. I hope
You too.
We'll talk later.
Okay. Bye, y'all. Have a good week, everybody.
Oh yeah. So what's going to happen here when I get off the air? If I were to end the show right now, poor Allison is going to have to listen to me as the caffeine and monster and brain pills work off. So I'm going to stay on here a little longer.
Yeah, you do that. You do. Don't put Allison through it. You guys let him have it, please, in the chat. Go.
Oh man, give it to me. Hey, thanks again, Erica. You're awesome. I really appreciate everything. Oh man. So I tell you, and then of course is my I hope Erica can actually leave. Oh. I don't know if it'll let me leave her. Hopefully it'll let her leave. Who messaged me? Somebody messaged me here. Okay. So I'm reading, well, Jay, I'm staying on for a few more minutes if you want to hang out with me here for a while. So Space Hippie says, gee whiz, Aaron. Okay, hold on. She says, Space Hippie says, you don't become a billionaire unless you're smart, unless you won the lottery, whatever. But those dudes are geniuses, and it would be wise to listen to their ideas. But George Soros is a billionaire. If George Soros were being introduced as part of Trump's inner circle, do you think that would be something we would be happy about? Just because he's a billionaire means we have to listen to the guy? No, I just remember that, 10 years ago, and this is the part where you can tell, and I'm not saying you do this, Space. This is the part where you can tell, are people really awake, or are people just really eating the piles of crap that Trump drops? Is it a fetish over Trump because he drills the woke and he wants to get the people out of here? Or do people actually give a damn about the country and they're awake? That's the question. And that's what I want you to ask yourself. Not you, Audrey, but people to ask themselves. Because when I look at this situation and when I see this, you got to think, I mean, I've been talking about this since 2006, actually it was 2007. Yeah. I was awakened on December 24th, 2006, Christmas Eve, 2006, by a movie called 9/11 Mysteries. All right. Since then, I mean, all of these things are things that I've been talking about. And Bill Gates has been a name that I have known of and feared his influence for a long time. So when I have been talking about the global conspiracy and depopulation, and I've played clips of Bill Gates, and I've talked about the Bill and Melinda Gates foundations and how they are weaponizing mosquitoes to have the vaccine into them and then releasing them so that they can go and then inoculate people. When we've talked about the polio vaccine actually causing polio again, all of that is because of Bill Gates. So the fact that Trump is like the fact that Bill Gates is excited and encouraged that his conversation with Trump has gone this way is frightening to me. And I know Audrey, he isn't asking George Soros for ideas. I'm just throwing out an example. What if he were? What if he were asking George Soros? What if he were like, well, George Soros is a billionaire. He got that way because he's really smart. No, he got that way because he turned his own people in during the Holocaust. He turned his own people in and then took their gold, their money, their land. That's how he became a billionaire. It's because he's a turncoat, because he's a horrible person. Let's see here. Deb says that would be calling us crazy, Erica. I'm not. I hope I didn't offend you, Deb. Jay Sparkles says here that he knows he doesn't know everything, but I think most people underestimate his intelligence because some of his behaviors. Yeah, I can see that. He's a stable genius, though. Brian says, okay, so here within a couple of minutes, we have Brian who says, Aaron is going woke. 2 minutes later, Brian says, Aaron has gone woke. So I went from non-woke to woke in 2 minutes. Like it was that fast. Let's see. Yeah, Space Hippie, Operation Paperclip. She says, Operation Paperclip, we brought over the smartest Nazis to build our military. Yeah, and that's a bad thing. That's a bad thing. Like, hey, you all were a part of, well, that makes me wonder about the Holocaust. I'll just leave it at that for a moment. But yeah, we brought over Nazis. Werner von Braun was used as the guy to build NASA. Nazis, Operation Paperclip, and it was not a good idea. Let's see here. Deb says Bill Gates did run the World Health Organization. Huh? Jay Sparkles, I wonder if she's still here. Have a great Saturday, y'all. Hippie says, have a great weekend, Erica. Yes, Erica, have a great weekend. Thanks for coming on the show. She's awesome. Really appreciate her staying, hanging out, and being a part of the show. Roger Rabbit, let's see. Roger says here, the same guy also created the operating software that runs the porn that has ruined the minds of 1 to 2 generations. Ooh, look at that. See, now I think, Roger, you're starting, if I just talk long enough, maybe I'll start to make myself clearer so that people will begin to understand all of this. Facts. What are the facts? Jay Sparkles, what are you talking about when you say facts? What facts are you talking about? Deb says, anyone would have tried to come up with a solution. Let's see. Anyone would have tried to come up with a solution. When you see a world pandemic, you should be thrown out of the office if you don't, after we found out the truth. But that's the thing, Deb, that's the thing. We have known that vaccines are a delivery system for cancer, live cancer viruses. We've known that vaccines have caused adverse reactions. We've known that vaccines have killed people for years. But when Andrew Wakefield says, hey, there's a link, not necessarily in the fact that the vaccines cause autism, but there's a link in the schedule and how soon a child whose immune system isn't fully developed receives these vaccinations, and then they get a diagnosis of autism. Why is autism skyrocketing? See, they shut down Andrew Wakefield, censored him. They stripped away his his degrees. They turned him into a pariah simply because he never said stop vaccinating your kids. He never said he was anti-vax. All he said was there's an issue with the timing of the schedule and the amount of inoculations that a child receives. All he was asking for was space, time. Give it a little bit more time before you inoculate them with all of these, right? Because that's where he was seeing the issue with autism. They exploded and shut him down. Now, when you talk about the link between autism and vaccines, that is almost as bad as denying the Holocaust or talking about the Jewish cabal. It is, I mean, you are just like done, toast, right? But Bill Gates pushed this narrative, and the vaccine industry pushed this narrative. RFK has been fighting for years to reduce the vaccine schedule. He's not anti-vax. He wants more research into this. And he's not afraid to put the information out there. The information was readily available. See, what happens is that people begin to make decisions based on what they think they know, what they've heard, but it's not legitimate information. See, that's a big problem, I think, that Trump has. His ego is so big, he can't admit when he's effed something up. Nor can he admit when I don't know this, we're going to have to, I mean, that's one of the issues I have with him. All right, let's see here. So yeah, Deb, even though people would try to come up with a solution, a solution that people have been talking about for years, that doesn't work. All right. Let's see. Where is the least woke place to get coffee? I'm out and I need to get one badly. Oh, you're talking about like right this very second? Man, I don't know, bro. I don't know. What's Dunkin' like? I mean, most of them are run by Asian Indians around here. So, and their coffee's okay unless you put double cream and double sugar in it. And right now I'm drinking Cafe Bustelo. It's like an espresso blend. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. And I'm drinking from an Art the Clown cup that my kids bought me for my birthday. I want to show you all this cup if I can. See if I can pull it up here real quick. What are some of the other comments while I'm looking for my Art the Clown cup picture that I can share? There we go. Where is, okay. Space Hippie says, I don't play what if games. Well, that's the whole fun of stuff. Roger Rabbit, he would never got elected by all of us if we knew he was bouncing ideas off Soros. Then why are Soros and Gates are identical? They do the same things. They fund the same programs. Soros has just been the guy that's been exposed he's the pariah, and albeit correctly. You know, it's kind of like people are like, oh my gosh, the Rockefellers built this country. The Rockefellers were freaking Nazis. They were horrible people. Standard Oil, and they destroyed the alcohol industry, which would have been the clean burning fuel that we should have had. Alcohol is a fuel. And the reason why we don't use alcohol as gas and we use unleaded fuel and petroleum products for gas is because Standard Oil shut down all the other competition. When Rockefellers pushed to have alcohol prohibition, they weren't doing it because they were teetotalers and they thought it was immoral and it was against the Bible. They were doing it to shut down the idea that alcohol could be a gas. I did a show on this a couple of years ago, interviewing a guy, and his book is called Alcohol is a Gas. And that's exactly what it is. And the entire time that they were prohibiting alcohol from being sold, the Rockefellers were running alcohol on their railroad tracks and making money from both of it. And then after they destroyed the reputation of alcohol and nobody would touch it and use it for a fuel, that's when they were like, all right, it's time to end the prohibition. And there you go. So when somebody says, when I see people touting the excellencies or the great accomplishments of the Rockefeller family, I know that person has not researched and knows what's going on. It's the same thing with the Bush family. When they're like, oh, George H.W. Bush, oh, so great, we love him. George H.W. Bush and his family were a murderous dynasty. All right? George H.W. Bush was the leader of the CIA at the time that JFK was assassinated. You know, oh man, when Ronald Reagan was running president, he said that he did not want anybody as a running mate that was part of the Trilateral Commission. And lo and behold, after he won the nomination, who did he choose to be his running mate? Oh, George H.W. Bush, and George H.W. Bush was part of the Trilateral Commission. And then what happened as soon as Reagan took office? Oh, gee, I don't know. Gordon B. Hinckley tried to assassinate him. No, it wasn't Gordon B. Hinckley. It was Hinckley. What's his name? Gordon B. Hinckley was the LDS Church. Reagan's assassin. That was March 30th, 1981. President Reagan was leaving the hotel. John Hinckley Jr. fired his .22 caliber revolver at Ronald Reagan. I am going to pull up here because I screwed up the other guy's name. Bush was having dinner with Scott Hinckley the night before John Hinckley tried to assassinate him. Right? So George H.W. Bush was good friends with the Hinckley family. And it was a Hinckley who tried to assassinate Reagan. So Reagan says, I don't want a member of the Trilateral Commission as a running mate. He gets somebody that's a part of the Trilateral Commission as a running mate. And then that person is having dinner with a family member of the guy who tried to kill Reagan. Interesting. But people will talk about how, George H.W. Bush, he's so great, he's so grand, he's so awesome. Do a little bit of reading. Find out that even though you tout these, what are considered pillars of conservatism and pillars of republicanism and pillars of America, they're actually really, really horrible people. I'm going to try to share this here real quick, just as a bit of a window. Let me see if I can do that. Here we go. This is the cup my family bought me for Christmas. Look at that. That is the cup from which I'm drinking coffee currently. For those of you who don't know, that's Art the Clown from the Terrifier franchise. Let's see. Where's the lease? Okay, don't play games. I don't need any more R. I don't need any more R. J Sparkles. What is that? What is R? He would have never gotten elected if all of us knew his bouncing ideas off. That's what Roger Rabbit said. Facts. Sparkles says, Gifted said, I'm just glad I have a diagnosis of allergy for all vaccines. Yep, that's what a lot of people have to do. We had to get a medical exemption and had to find a Christian school that would accept medical exemptions. We asked that. That's one of the reasons that our daughter goes to the school she goes to. I don't fully agree with their Pentecostal theology, but I would much rather her be there where I can just let them know where I know the people in the office. And I can just be like, when I went there, I'm like, hey, here's the exemption. And it was good for the entire time she's going to be there. Roger Rabbit said, allergic to sodium chloride. So is my daughter. Looks like all the vaccines you mix won't work for me. Gifted says, avoid vaxxed people because of the shed. Roger Rabbit said, one hides in the shadow. One is a public face. Love the smell of alcohol-powered cars at the track. Space Hippie says, I want to know what was in the letter people received at G.H.W. Bush's funeral. I would love to know that too. Roger Rabbit said, oh yeah, I forgot about the mysterious letter that was handed out then. Always wondered what was in that as well. Yeah, I would love to know what's in that letter. But the whole point of bringing up George H.W. Bush is to point out the fact that there are people who will accept what others are, or what they're told about others' accomplishments, and they won't research what those accomplishments actually are. Like I remember whenever I talk about a 9/11 being an inside job, people are like, oh, I don't think George Bush was a Christian man. I don't think that George W. Bush would be holding the plunger and pushing it down to detonate the building. Well, first off, that is a straw man argument because we obviously know that he did not push the plunger down, but he had advanced knowledge of it. He knew about it. When the Bush family is a part of the Bohemian Grove, where they have unprotected male sex when George H.W. Bush, when it was shown that George W. Bush had male homosexual strippers show up to the White House. Well, I mean, all of that. It doesn't matter as long as he's getting his ideas from good people, as long as he's trying to help folks, right? Nah, I mean, you can't have it both ways. All right. George H.W. Bush was part of Bohemian Grove. Norton Bush was part of Bohemian Grove. This is a family. I mean, and there are, hundreds of people involved out there. But we have got to be able to call out organizations and individuals and people, not just because they're on the other side. That is, if I can offer you a word of advice, that is a way that you can tell if somebody is awake or if somebody is just acting like they're awake. Because if they support folks that do work behind the scenes and they think that they're great people, then there's an issue with you. There's an issue with your research. You're not fully awake. All right. And I know that that's probably going to be, I'm not trying to insult anybody because I think that I have a pretty astute audience here. What I've been able to, what the Lord has been gracious enough to allow this program to build. I have a pretty astute audience here. And I know that if I talk about the fact that I think that what that pastor said, that female pastor said at the post-inaugural prayer service said, I agree with her. I think he should have mercy on those people, and I think it was the right time to do it. All right. I know that you people love me enough that you will still listen to the show because we have created a community here that is diverse in our ideas and that celebrates the differences that we have, and we learn from one another. Oh, Deb, you've never heard of Bohemian Grove? Ooh, this is fantastic. Ooh. All right, that's going to be my next Conspiracy 101 article. I'm going to write that on my ADHD pad. Conspiracy 101, Bohemian Grove, dedicated to Deb. There you go. That's all for you. That's right, Gifted. We do always argue more with the ones we love and respect because we know that even if we say things that piss people off, even if we say things that anger others, that we love and that are family, that they're still going to love us. I love you too, Audrey, and I love you, J May, and I love you, Gifted, and I love you, Deb, and I love you, Roger. I love you all. Those are the only people I see that are still commenting. There's Roger in there. I love Roger too. If I didn't say that, I love every one of you to hell and back. I mean, this is a part of learning and growth. There is, what are you talking about? Sorry, Deb. What are you sorry about? There's absolutely no reason for you to be sorry, and I don't understand why you're sorry. I'm just going to be transparent here. I look at people that have podcasts and shows, and I wonder. I'm like, man, alive. All right, Jay Sparkles. I appreciate you hanging out with us, and I appreciate your videos that you send me as well over on TikTok. I know. What was the last one you sent me? Trying to remember, but I have not forgotten that you reminded me about suffering and talking about that. That's going to be a special show about that. I can't wait to get that one done. But anyway, so before I get distracted and start forgetting what I was going to say, I look at all these shows out there and I wonder, I'm like, why are they popular? Oh, this is weird. Why are they popular? Like, what's going on? Why is it that I haven't hit it? And I'm like, well, that's because all this stuff has been talked about before. All of this stuff has been discussed before. And then I see comments like that, Deb, and you encourage me. Say, Raj. So, and it encourages me because it lets me know that there are still people out there who need to be educated and still need to be learned. There are things that I've not heard about, things that I don't fully understand, things that I haven't come across. And all of that is important because it energizes me and makes me know, hey, there is still education that needs to happen for myself and for other people. So it's extremely encouraging. And I really do appreciate the fact that you're there. I appreciate the fact you're being open and honest and transparent there, Deb, as well. And the fact that Deb, thank you, Aaron, for all you do to have our minds in a tizzy. That's what I'm trying to do. I want you to think. I want you to and not think like me. I just want you to think. That's it. You know, I want to present the other perspective, the other ideas, the other information, give you the full picture as best as I can. And then once all the information is out there, I want transparency. I want people to have the knowledge and have the information. And then, and only then, you can arrive at your conclusion. You do your best to find the truth and search for information. And don't let yourself be shut down because it's somebody that you may not agree with. All right. And I say that, and it's not contradictory to not listening to Bill Gates because he's already established himself and made his motives known. He's already let his intentions be known. You know, but I remember back in the day when I was the first awake, I was listening to, Rosie O'Donnell and Cynthia McKinney and Ray McGovern and leftists that were radically different from me, but that had the same ideas about the Constitution, the government, freedom, like I did. And that was energizing to me. It was almost like I looked specifically for people that disagreed with me so that I would not allow myself to be even more firmly ensconced in a political party or position. And for all that I love Alex Jones, and I think he is the GOAT. When it comes to talk radio, actually, he's the second in GOAT. Art Bell, I think, is the GOAT of radio of all time. The show has opened up some minds of customers. Conversation started. Please let me know what you mean by that, Gift. What do you mean by customers? But oh crap, where was I? I should have wrote it down on my pad. What was I saying? No, well, I'll remember it in a second, probably. But yeah, I remember specifically looking and searching for people that disagreed with me completely. You listen to the show at work? Like, is this playing where people can hear me at work? At your work? And you have the show playing when people are there? I didn't know this. That's awesome. Oh my gosh, that's fantastic, Gifted. Thank you so much for doing that, man. Thank you so much for doing that. That makes my little heart happy. Well, big fat heart happy. Makes me so happy that people are listening to the show and it's opening up information and ideas and opening up ideas and opening up thoughts and pathways to people to consider and think. All right. So right now I am just rambling, but here's the deal. I also have 29 people that are listening right now to the show, and folks out there are like, "Ooh, that's not a lot of people." That's a lot of people for me. And I hate to end the show with that many people that are listening, because I feel like they are. I feel like I'm robbing the folks if I leave the show. If I stop broadcasting. Let me see if there's anything else here that I did not cover on the show. Because I can ramble on and on about this, and it's all just, like surface level stuff. But here's this interesting thing. I'm going to just completely switch gears on everybody. And I'm not ignoring your question, Deb. When you say who is good in politics, list of good people in politics. So first one, I would say Thomas Massey. Rand Paul. Those are two of the guys. RFK Jr. once he's in the he's awesome, but when he's in politics, when he gets into the cabinet, he's good. He's solid. I appreciate that, Deb. I really do, because I look at this. I look at the show, and as I was saying previously, I wonder about, is there really a point to continue to do the show? I've wondered this, and I'm not just saying this. I'm not trying to fish for compliments. I've wondered what's the point of doing the show? There's so many more people out there that are better than me. There's so many more better, so much more, so much. What am I trying to say here? There are people out there who are much better at presenting this information to me. And there's so many people that are getting the guests and the interviews and the reach that I don't have. And I wonder, why am I getting in the way? Why am I trying to carve a niche for myself when other people are doing such a better job? So that has been on my mind. And one of the reasons I started the Conspiracy 101 section on my website, on Substack, aaronbarker.substack.com, is because I'm trying to get back to my roots. I'm trying to get back to what woke me up. I'm trying to get back to 9/11, chemtrails, fluoride in the drinking water, vaccines causing autism and cancer and killing people and allergies, etc. Trying to get back to the toxins and poisons in our food supply. I'm trying to get back to talking about the Rockefellers and the Bilderberg Group and the Federal Reserve and false flags and Illuminati and Pizzagate, the Georgia Guidestones, which are obviously destroyed, the JFK assassination, RFK, JFK, MLK, all those which are about to be hopefully blown open, the Committee of 300, HARP, crisis actors and false flag events when it comes to school shootings, predictive programming, secret societies in general, Project Bluebird, Project Blue Beam, Project Mockingbird, 0 Point Energy, aliens, the protocols of the learned elders of Zion, MK Ultra, the Khazars, talking like deep level stuff here. Just all of these types of like initial conspiracy theories that I heard, and I was like, man, that stuff is what I want to get back to, because we can argue that, and by the way, Deb said, I promise if I still had my cleaning business, each and every one of my customers would still be listening to you throughout the day. And I appreciate that so much. I want to get back to those conspiracy theories, those things that woke me up, because we can argue whether or not Trump is an egomaniac. We can argue whether or not Trump is an authoritarian. We can argue whether or not Kamala Harris or Barack Obama are still going to be running a shadow government, right? But what is the shadow government? Is the shadow government the same thing as the deep state? Is the shadow government the same thing as the Illuminati? What about the Freemason conspiracy, the Alta Vendita conspiracy against the Catholic Church of the infiltration of the Freemasons? What about Adam Weishaupt and the creation of the Bavarian Illuminati, which then infiltrated the Freemasonry group? Like, when we argue about people in politics, yes, they are mouthpieces. But what about what's going on below the surface? What are the ideas that get them to where they are? Why is the country the way it is? And that is because of the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Onassis family, the Bundys, and the Kennedys, and the DuPonts, the bloodlines of the Illuminati. That's why our country is the way it is today. Yep, the Knights Templar as well. I mentioned earlier in the show the book Like Lambs to the Slaughter. Almost knocked over my coffee. This was exposed, and this book was extremely timely. It was written back in 1989. I remember my dad teaching from this book. It's one of the greatest memories I have. This and that other book. This book was calling out before its time the infiltration of the New Age movement into schools, churches, games, television shows, all of everyday life. And this is why our country is the way it is today. There is a goal and a purpose for infiltration of morals and ethics, the underpinning of what makes civilization, Western civilization, not just conservative values or ideas or America itself. They don't give a crap about borders. They don't care about a people color or people groups. They don't care. They want you turned against one another. They couldn't give a crap less if you're Indian, Native American, Asian Indian, Canadian, or from Vermont. They want to destroy you. Period. So that's what I've been thinking of. And Audrey, you said something there that means so much to me, what you just said there. And I'm sure everybody else thinks that. I'm going to tell myself that they do. Audrey says, think about why you're doing the show and go from there. You're too passionate for it just to be for likes and popularity. Oh, and I appreciate that. And I'm glad that shines through. Because I'm the same guy on air that I am off air. You can ask anybody that's hung out with me when I'm not behind the microphone. And this means a lot to me. And that's exactly what I'm going to try to do. That's exactly what I'm going to try to do is get back to the basics, get back to the foundational principles of where I arrived at my conclusions today and what I've learned from the folks that have come before me, because I stand on the shoulders of giants. You know, I stand on the shoulders of men who have sacrificed themselves literally. When you talk about sacrificing yourself and you look at somebody like Bill Cooper, who was literally gunned down in his front yard. When you look at somebody like the Canadian Navy commander, William Guy Carr, who wrote the book Pawns in the Game. I mean, and then wrote about Satan being the prince of the world. Excuse me. When you look at guys like Tex Mars, who have been speaking about the Khazarian mafia and the Jewish cabal for decades. Michael, what's his last name? Michael Howard. These folks, and I owe it to them so that their legacies will live on and that they will continue. That they will continue. And their legacies will continue through the work of all of us together. All right, folks, I think I'm going to go ahead and end the show on that note. Thank you all so much for staying with me and hanging out with us. Eric and I greatly appreciate that. Don't forget, go to aaronbarker.substack.com. Whilst there, make sure you subscribe. That way you can receive the email updates. And then once you get the updates, you can share the show, tell everybody about it. Also, don't forget to follow the Conspiracy 101. We're going to be dropping our first article on that on Monday, and I don't think it will disappoint. Hopefully, we'll be able to continue. And Deb, I have my second article already idea posted here or ready for me to do, and that is the Conspiracy 101 article about the Bohemian Grove, what that is, who was involved. The volumes can be written on that. Alex Jones infiltrated that back in the late 80s, early 90s when he went in there with a camcorder. I'll put that up there as well. And AJ video. I used to have that VHS. It was so awesome. I found that at a basement library sale in Walton, Kentucky. I walked in and there was a VHS of the Bohemian Grove where Alex Jones went in there and infiltrated it. You can still find that video. I'll post up a link to it. Deb says, Roger says here, if you're teaming up with Stucci, he will light that fire under you again. Yeah. I mean, and he is super excited about that. Looking forward to meeting with him and getting this at it. I know he's got a lot. He's going through a lot of stuff. And the fact that he would even consider putting us on his network is a huge, huge shot in the arm. Really appreciate that. Deb says, I personally consider you the enlightened curtain, the curtain that exposed the man behind the curtain in Wizard of Oz. Huh. I'm Toto. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Deb. That means a lot. I'm just going to be pointing the way. That's all I can do. And I can point the way, and I do it because I love y'all. I do it. I'm compelled to do it. I can't not do it. I've tried to not do it. I can't not do it. I got to do it. And time to put the big britches back on, the big boy britches, and get some stuff done. All right, folks. You all, same to you, Audrey. You all have a fantastic weekend. Share the show. We'll talk to you soon. God bless you all. And until next time, make Christ supremely valuable. Mwah!